Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I know. What did we just watch? We just watched a damn good pay-per-view, man. I don't know what you guys watched. What? You don't like arson and murder in the same week? AEW presents All Out. Man, oh man, did they go all out tonight. It's not even worth mentioning because they delivered on a regular basis. Some of the best wrestling that you'll see all year from any promotion happened tonight. But on top of that, AEW delivered what I thought was the best flowing pay-per-view that they had all year. And I'll get into that tonight and elaborate on that very point. Daniel Garcia falls to MJF. Why? What happened? I'll explain that. Kris Statlander and Willow Nightingale have one of the best women's matches that you'll see all year in any promotion. Jack Perry and Bryan Danielson, with Danielson retaining and then having his heart broken at the end of the match, thanks to Jon Moxley. And Swerve, Adam Page. Oh my goodness, man. We are looking at a generational rivalry that your kids growing up today watching this product will be talking about when they have kids. Speaking of kids, Jesse's not in the venue. He's at the fucking show. I don't know who's running the beer garden, but let me get over there, man. I don't know what's going on over there. As long as somebody has me a late night, tonight, no old-fashioned, man. I'm drinking an espresso martini tonight, man. We're gonna need it. When I get to the beer garden, I want to know on this Sunday morning, what the fuck are you guys drinking? I'll see you over there.
Why has Triple H been so successful? Why is Triple H running WWE better than Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard on Monday and Friday night? Long-term booking.
Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. This is your AEW All Out 2024 post show. I am JD from New York, as always, coming to you live from the OTS Beer Garden. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on your Sunday mornings, wherever you may be. Sorry about, if you guys are watching me live, sorry about all those OTS transitions, man. I don't know what the fuck happened there. You know, when you update OBS and then it wants to change shit on its own for no reason. That's exactly what happened there, man. It's the second AEW botch that we had. We did the same thing at All In. And what's going on, man? But I apologize for all those OTS transitions, man. OBS kind of fucking up on me. But what did not fuck up tonight is All Out. What a show from Schaumburg, the shadow of Chicago. AEW and their home away from home, their staple show to close out the summer. And tonight they delivered an absolute banger of a show, as is the usual with AEW pay-per-view. I don't need to sit here and really go over exactly why I feel AEW is the leader of pay-per-view and Tony Khan is Mr. Pay-per-view and AEW does pay-per-view like nobody else. We all know. It's just me sounding like a broken record. What I want to talk about tonight is the fact that AEW, when they make mistakes, they are very apparent. When AEW doesn't do good, it's felt by a lot of different people. You physically see it, you feel it, you know it. Honest, upfront, blunt, no sugarcoating, no bullshit creators like myself and a handful of others. They will not call out all the bad things that happens to AEW because they got AEW and their PR department and the roster in their pockets. They'd rather be friends than be real journalists and cover the show with integrity and pride and honesty. When AEW does bad, you don't hear about it from those people, but you'll hear about it from me and a handful of others. When AEW does good, I love talking about when AEW does good. I do. I love the company. Whether you believe that or not, don't really give a shit. I love AEW. I think it's great. When AEW is great, they are absolutely just spectacular. Spectacular. And tonight was the foundation of what I'd love to see moving forward. And what I mean by that is the way the show was booked, the way the show was formatted, the way the show was introduced, and the way the show just flowed all through 4 hours of what we saw from 8 p.m. until the show went off the air roughly around 12 midnight Eastern time. AEW All Out 2024 was probably the best flowing AEW show that they've done all year. Sometimes they don't do the things that I would like to see them do on a consistent basis. They tend to do their own thing and tend to think that what they do is right and everybody else's thoughts and opinions and input doesn't really matter. But if you guys go back to my All In post show where I sat here at 5:30 after the show was over, the one thing that I really harped on, the one negative about the show, was the fact that it didn't feel like a big production when they introduced the show at the top of the hour at 2 o'clock. There was no video package. There was no pyro. It went right from the pre-show and everybody getting introduced for that opening trios tag team title ladder match, and it bled right into the show. It's like, I'm sorry, where's the big feel that this is their biggest show of the year? It's Wembley Stadium. It's All In. It's 47,000, 48,000 people, whatever the number was. And they went into the show as they did, as if it was me watching fucking Rampage. I didn't like it. I thought that AEW really dropped the ball as far as overall presentation. Tonight, I don't know what we said, what someone else said. I don't know if they took me and other people's opinions into the creative meetings and said, hey, man, we got to go about this a little bit differently. These other guys that are on YouTube and all these other fucking platforms, they may have a point. AEW made this feel like a legit, proper show. We got a pre-show. We got an opening video package highlighting all of the top feuds for the show. We got a video package at the top when the show actually hit pay-per-view. We got an introduction by Excalibur. We got pyro that went off. We got an opening vignette from MJF. which was the opening match with him and Daniel Garcia, it felt like a proper pay-per-view. It felt like a big deal. It felt like, hey, man, I should be watching this. They made it feel important. And then AEW, normally they got 16 fucking matches, and my brain is jello at the end of the night. They did 8 matches on pay-per-view tonight. 8. 8 is a sweet number, man. That's all you need. We don't need any more than 8 matches. You start venturing into the 9-match, 10-match, 11-match, 12-match, in Tony Khan's case, fucking 16 matches. 16-match territory is way too much, man. You want to do that, give me a 2-hour pre-show. I don't have to tune in if I don't want. Nothing fucking happens on the pre-show. And if something happens, I'll find out about it on social media. 8 matches. Everything that happened on tonight's show was supposed to be there. We didn't get too much. We didn't get too little. We got everything that fucking mattered. And that's the part I really appreciate, because I've been saying for weeks that AEW did a fantastic job building their television show. Whether Dynamite was good or not, for the most part, it was okay. There were a couple of duds thrown in there. But for the most part, the top matches that they built for All In were fantastic. The end product, the end result was fucking phenomenal. And at the same time, while they were building towards those, they had integrated storylines in those existing storylines that would have played out here tonight at All Out. So not only did AEW have a tremendous, in their standards, in their world, tremendous build for the top matches at All In, they went about doing All Out this year a lot better than they did last year as well. Because let's be honest, when All In happens and then we get All Out 2 weeks later, most of the time, as in last year, the entire show was nothing but matches with no story and no physical emotion whatsoever from the viewer. They were just great wrestling matches, which is fine. That's their basic audience. But this viewer, most of the viewers nowadays that have caught on, we want emotion, we want story, we want a reason to care. When you don't have a reason to care, when you don't have a story, when you don't give me a reason to care about wrestler A and wrestler B, why they're wrestling, what's the story, then the match itself is going to be less than what it really should be. They didn't do that this year. So for everybody saying the show sucked or All In sucked, AEW does a terrible job. When they do a terrible job, you know it. When they do a good job, most of the time, you won't know it, because when they do a terrible job, it always outweighs the good. The last 2 weeks, I can't say outside Dynamite, which this past week was kind of boring, outside of what they did for All In and the Aftermath show, outside of that, I thought what AEW's done on these 2 major pay-per-views was fucking terrific. I can't sit here and shit on anything that they've done outside of the fact that All In started the way that it did. It was amateur hour, the way they started All In. They didn't do that. They didn't make that same mistake tonight. Show flowed. Now you see why Tony Khan needs to do 8 matches and not fucking 21 matches on pay-per-view. It just flows better. It's easier to digest as the viewer. Your brain is not overloaded with all this shit happening and trying to cram everything in the fucking 4-hour show that you got, the 4-hour block that you got on pay-per-view. Everything mattered. We went from one match to a video package as to what was happening going into the next match. I physically was able to get up and go to the bathroom and get myself a drink and then come back to my couch, and I didn't feel like I missed anything. See, as a viewer, I appreciate that, man. AEW doesn't really take that into consideration. Most of the time, it's like, one match is over, we go right into the next match. That match is over, we go right into the next match. It's like, can you let shit breathe, please? You just had this great moment happen, and we're rushing right into the next match. It's not the way I do things, man. I want to savor in the moment for a little bit. I know I don't got all night to savor in it, but Jesus fucking Christ, let me goddamn enjoy the moment that you created there. Every match tonight was followed by a video package. Every match tonight was given a recap as to why this match is taking place on pay-per-view. If AEW doesn't go and do this for the rest of their pay-per-views moving forward, clearly somebody there doesn't give a shit. Everything that they did tonight was spot on. I don't want to sit here and say it was one of the best pay-per-views that they've ever done because we got 5 years, and to be quite honest with you, I don't know what happened fucking 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm not that type of guy. I forget quickly. I was there in the moment, but right now in this moment, I'm not going to tell you what happened fucking 4 years ago at Double or Nothing. But what I can tell you now from what I've seen this year is that AEW put on one hell of a show. All Out was one of the best flowing shows that they've done all year. And this is the foundation. This is the blueprint of what they need to be doing going forward. 8 matches is all you need. Now, what we got tonight, some may like it. Some might not like it. I loved it. I love a little fucking carnage every now and then. I love a little fucking violence every now and then when a feud or a match calls for it. MJF and Danny Garcia was the right way to start this show. That got started beautifully. Danny Garcia didn't even make a fucking entrance. Came up from underneath the ring or jumped the barricade in the crowd and jumped MJF from behind. And we got a match that started the way that it needed to. A blood feud that needed to get started in that way. And they did it. And ended up being one of Danny Garcia's best match in his entire AEW career. Love the way they opened the show. 25 minutes of just great pro wrestling. With everybody asking, well, is Danny Garcia going to win? Is Danny Garcia going to topple the biggest villain in AEW? He didn't. I'll explain why he didn't. It's a very simple reason why he didn't. But it was a great match. Will Ospreay defended the International Championship tonight against Pac. That was a match that a lot of people were looking forward to. A lot of people wanted to see it, but not particularly at Wembley. And I know a lot of people waited for it, but it was well worth your wait. And Will Ospreay, I say this every time, man, there's absolutely nothing like a Will Ospreay match. There are wrestling matches, and then there is a Will Ospreay match. And a lot of people are not at the level of a Will Ospreay match. Same thing can be said for Pac. When Pac's in there by himself, Pac is one of the most elite pro wrestlers on the face of the fucking planet. When he's in there with Ospreay, you see why Pac is one of the best pro wrestlers in the entire sport today. I don't know how those guys went out there and did half of the shit that they did, but it was a beautifully in sync, just unbelievable, well-built pro wrestling match that took its time getting from one gear to the next. And then at the end, the last 6 or 7 minutes, you see why they really churned it up in the last 6 to 7 minutes. Made you wonder why it started off a little bit slow there. Absolutely fantastic work by both guys. And a match that will be talked about at the end of the year and should be in everybody's top 10 when 2024 concludes. Then we got the ladies. At least 2 ladies tonight delivered big. Can't say the same about the TBS champion. Willow Nightingale and Kris Statlander. They had the unfortunate task of following Will Ospreay and Pac. But, man, did they let it all fly tonight, man. They let a lot of people in on a little something, man. When the AEW women want to fucking get down and dirty, they get down and dirty better than anybody. A lot of people were wondering, including me, how the fuck is anybody? Never mind the fucking lit. It could have been anybody. It didn't have to be Willow and Kris Statlander. How was anybody going to follow Will Ospreay and Pac? A lot of people were questioning if they had it within them to really deliver a match that was going to get that emotional investment from the crowd. they shut a lot of people up. They executed such a great match that it will probably go down as either one or number two top women's matches here in North America all year. That's how great it was. Love a woman, especially in pro wrestling, that is going to absolutely go out there, no frills, no bullshit, and just get down and dirty and fucking fight and wrestle. That's what both ladies did tonight, and they delivered big time. We had a Continental Championship match. Didn't really give a shit about it because it was born out of something that happened on AEW Collision. Nobody gives a shit. We got a tag team title match that was as heatless as everything else that came before it. Nobody gives a shit. Bryan Danielson and Jack Perry. A lot of people were souring on Jack Perry getting a world championship match. It was probably a Bryan Danielson decision. If it wasn't, it was partially a Bryan Daniel decision. And then AEW thinking they were funny. Oh, well, you know what will be good? We should do Jack Perry in Chicago. Yeah, great. You got your CM Punk chance. You got your chance of, oh, cry me a river. Yeah, it's all great. Get it out of your fucking system. Jack Perry should not be challenging for the World Championship anytime soon again. But they delivered a great match, as they should, because Bryan Danielson doesn't have bad matches. Daniel Bryan. I feel like Jim Ross. Bryan Danielson doesn't have bad matches. I will never physically sit here in this chair looking into this camera with you watching me saying anything negative about a Bryan Danielson wrestling match. The fuck is wrong with you, man? I don't think anybody should be out here in content creation world downplaying a Bryan Danielson match all because Jack Perry was his challenger tonight for the AEW World Championship. You could sit there and not like Jack Perry, but you can't sit there and tell me that Jack Perry and Bryan Danielson didn't deliver a very good fucking wrestling match. What happened at the end of the match was a little fucking shocking. What happened at the end of the match actually bled into the steel cage match because so many fucking people were shocked at what they saw there. They still couldn't believe what the fuck they saw when Swerve and Page were in the steel cage. Jon Moxley tried to commit murder, legitimately, live on television, by choking out Bryan Danielson. This is not your company anymore, he stated 2 weeks ago. This is not your company anymore. If you guys looked at the scene of the crime, after Bryan Danielson won the championship, he hugged Jon Moxley. Everything was all good for the Blackpool Combat Club. But then Claudio delivers a European uppercut. Bryan's laying on the floor looking shocked, like, brother, what are you doing? Wheeler Yuta had to be restrained. They didn't attack Wheeler Yuta, but they let Wheeler Yuta watch. Wheeler Yuta was never a part of the WWE. You do know who was, right? Bryan, Claudio, Pac, Jon Moxley, and Marina Shafir. Blackpool Combat Club's looking a little bit different nowadays without Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Yuta. But the remaining Blackpool Combat Club members are all ex-WWE stars. All ex-WWE stars that are absolutely doing the bidding of one McMahon, who I firmly believe is coming in. Just a little food for thought there as to why they omitted Yuta. Maybe this is not even the Blackpool Combat Club. Maybe this is a whole new group. But whatever the case may be, the Blackpool Combat Club for now is dead. And Wheeler Yuta omitted from the group. Just a little food for thought. Just a little fun for you guys to have and think about it. Yes, Marina is ex-WWE, Pedro Miranda. Yes, she's ex-WWE. She was in NXT. Not very good. She was part of the Four Horsewomen with Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke. And then we got the steel cage match. Steel cage match between Swerve Strickland and Adam Page. don't know what you guys want me to say in regards to the steel cage match, because I see a lot of people having mixed reviews and mixed opinions about what they watched and what they saw. First of all, AEW is really, really, really trying to get people interested in what they're doing. And what I mean by that is, instead of telling captivating, well-thought-out stories that happen on a week-to-week basis, AEW is resorting to arson, and AEW is resorting to legit murder on their televisions. We got Adam Page burning down Swerve's childhood home at the end of Dynamite in what was probably the best go-home segment in the history of AEW. I don't give a shit. I'm just letting you guys know what others are saying. I loved it. I thought it was the best thing about the entire show on a show that didn't really offer much of anything to this viewer. But that was fantastic. I actually called it earlier in the day when they conveniently uploaded the Swerve Strickland clip that went viral around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I put out a quote tweet not long after that. Hey, imagine if Adam Page burns this motherfucker down to the ground. And what happened? Nobody really thought AEW was going to go to those lengths to do that. But this sick motherfucker, knowing that Page is a sick motherfucker, I would have loved to see it. They pulled it off. We got arson, and then we got murder tonight because Jon Moxley suffocated Bryan Danielson with a fucking plastic bag for at least a good 60 seconds. As the man is convulsing, struggling to breathe, EMTs and medical personnel rush over and give him oxygen immediately. Then we get this steel cage match. Started off a little slow. It built to what you saw. Staple guns, tables, cinder blocks, chairs, barbed wire. You name it, man. They brought it out. We even had a piece of the fucking burned home from Swerve Strickland. Adam Page brought a piece of charred wood that looked like a fucking knife. Sick son of a bitch probably carved it the way that it looked tonight because he's a sick motherfucker. I love it. We even got charred wood used as a weapon. A lot of people were complaining, oh, it wasn't better than the Wrestle Dream match, JD. All right, Todd, fucking bunch of numbers, retard. Thank you. Nobody asked for your opinion. Oh, but it wasn't better than the No DQ Texas Death Match, JD. Thank you, Stan 553456. Fucking go fuck yourself. I appreciate your input. Nobody asked. Why are we a society that loves to compare everything? Did they go out there with the sheer intent of saying, hey man, we gotta be better than our Texas death match? It's great to have that mentality. But why are you gonna go and try and recreate a classic 1 month later? You're never gonna be better than the original. This is a common theme. Destiny 1 is better than Destiny 2. Alien is better than Aliens. Jaws is better than Jaws 2. Mummy was better than the Mummy 2. So on and so forth. Those are just the things that come and jump off the top of my fucking head. Ride the Lightning's better than Master of Puppets, in my opinion. Come on now, guys. Why are we such a community, a society that needs to compare everything? I don't get it. Why can't you enjoy what you were given in the moment? What you guys are watching is a rivalry, a storied rivalry that is going to last generations. You think this is the end? You think because Page won, this is the end? No, this is nowhere near the fucking end, man. This is nowhere near the end. This is just a chapter in the long history of Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. Oh, but it wasn't better than this. It wasn't better than that. I don't know why we have to fucking compare. At first glance, sure, it's not better than what they did, but I'm not sitting here fucking downplaying what they did tonight. It's another chapter in the story. Adam Page will eventually win the World Championship. He has to. The story doesn't make sense if he doesn't. He wants to rid AEW of Swerve before he can go win the World Championship. When he wins the World Championship, who do you think is going to be there to take the title off of him? Whether it's at Double or Nothing or All In, Texas. I can envision right now Adam Page walking into fucking Texas, cowboy shit as the fucking world champion. And who is his opponent going to be? Swerve Strickland. Where Swerve will once again be the world champion. Don't know why we need to compare everything, man. Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, ladder match at WrestleMania 10. Obviously, better than the one that they had at SummerSlam the following year. Don't know why we need to compare. They were both great in their own right. They were never going to relive what they did at WrestleMania in Madison Square Garden. Hell in a Cell, the first ever Hell in a Cell, was better than them all. Doesn't take away from the other Hell in a Cell matches that we got that were fucking fantastic, but nothing is ever going to top the original. It's something that should be widely known. But yet everybody wants to downplay the fucking brutality that we've seen tonight. Might not be your cup of tea, but I think everything that they did called for it, and it needed to be done. I thought tonight was a great show. We're going to get into all that happened tonight, break this thing down, what we liked, what we didn't like, how many times someone got dropped on their head. Will Ospreay. They just they love dropping Will Ospreay on his fucking head, man. I don't get it. I really don't understand it. Yeah, some sequels. Some sequels do top the original user. Yes, like Dark Knight, obviously better than the fucking original Batman, right? With Christian Bale, of course. But that's a rarity, bro. Doesn't happen all the time. And someone in the chat said Aliens is better than Alien. I go about even. I go about even. It's two different vibes, man. Two different vibes of a movie. The Phantom 67 with a $100 super chat. Thank you, brother. I really enjoyed tonight. Just flowed perfectly. I do like carnage and sometimes violence, arson, and murder. Okay. I didn't mind that. Cheers, JD. Thank you, brother. Another round of applause for my guy, Phantom. Adam Carter, I see you, brother. Terminator 2, obviously better than Terminator 1. See, there are things that happen in the sequel that are better than the original. But again, it's very difficult, man. The original will always outweigh the sequel. Sometimes the sequel is better than the original. In this case, I don't know why the fuck we're comparing. Just the point I'm trying to make. Thank you guys for joining me here on the All Out post show right here on Off the Script. Obviously, conspicuous by his absence, a certain Mark, Smark, is not with me tonight. He was actually at the show, sitting in the fucking nosebleeds. Hopefully he enjoyed himself. How much were the beers at Schaumburg Now Arena, bro? You pay for a $16 fucking Heineken? Hopefully he enjoyed himself. We'll be back together on Wednesday. He'll give you the live, in-person feel. And the report from being there in person on Wednesday night will be live for the Fallout show or the aftermath of AEW All Out on Wednesday Night Dynamite. Follow me on social media, man, at JD from NY206, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Make sure you guys go check out all of the other content on the channel. There is plenty of it. And make sure you guys go follow my second channel, man, JD from NY Shorts. We got a little clips channel going on, man. We're nearing 5,000 subs. You guys can find the link to that down in the description below. Go and check that out. We uploaded an explosive rant today on the SmackDown debut of Giovanni Vinci and how they embarrassed the motherfucker last night on Friday Night SmackDown. Hit that thumbs up. We got 524 likes, 2,400 people in here, man. I need to see no less than 1,000 minimum. 1,000 is the goal here tonight. Super chats are open. Would love to see another Phantom Bomb or something very similar. Thank you, Phantom. Love the energy you guys are showing tonight. It's great when there's great pro wrestling. Super chats are open. Get them on in. It's a great way to support the show. Shout out to my Twitch family. We are live on Twitch right now as well. Thank you guys for all of the support over there. First time chat over there. Mystic, BG Mystic, I see you, bro. T-Mac, Darren Connor. Thank you guys very much, man. We will be multi-streaming, man, because that's all what's the rave now. I guess that's what the cool kids do. So if you guys are over on Twitch and don't like YouTube, we'll be trying to build our audience over on Twitch. So there you go. And tonight's show is sponsored by Blue Chew, BlueChew.com, code JD at checkout. All you guys need to do is pay the $5 shipping and handling. Adam Page, he may need to get himself right after tonight, man. I don't know what the fuck he's gonna do to rest his broken body tonight. A couple of shots of whiskey, maybe. If you guys are still up and you guys want to party all night long, man, you can't do it without Blue Chew. BlueChew.com, code JD at checkout. Make sure you guys get your free sample courtesy of the podcast, man. I want to thank them for always being a great friend and a sponsor right here on Off the Script. Anyway, let's get into this post-show. We got MJF and Danny Garcia. As my mouse is not working, that's great. Did my mouse die? Probably. Always something going on here, man. It's just it's a bad week for technology in the JD household. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Rodecaster's got a problem. The fucking iPad's got a problem. Now my keyboard had a problem. Now my mouse has a problem. My fucking OBS has a problem. I don't know, man. First of all, you know, before we start with MJF and Danny Garcia, there was a pre-show. There was a pre-show that happened. I did watch the pre-show, but I used it mostly as background noise. So we're going to briefly skim through this. The Acclaimed wrestle the Iron Savages. That is, I don't know. I don't know why this needs to take place on the pre-show, but whatever, man. This is obviously a let's get everybody on the card type of deal. The Acclaimed win in 8 minutes. Don't really get the Iron Savages and what they're going for, but whatever. Premier athletes Tony Nese, Arya Daivari, and Josh Woods with Smart Mark Sterling against Dustin Rhodes, Hologram, and Sammy Guevara. Looks like Dustin Rhodes and Hologram with Sammy have now joined forces. It's great. We got Dustin, Guevara, and Hologram winning in 10 minutes. Hologram is he's not gonna lose a match in AEW. He's not gonna lose a match in AEW, man. Tony loves his Hologram. Juice Robinson, Austin Gunn, and Colton Gunn versus the Dark Order. Juice and the Guns win. And we got Top Flight and Action Andretti against the Undisputed Kingdom, Roderick Strong, Matt Taven. And the Beast Mortos with Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty. So we got a trios match here. Undisputed Kingdom wins in 11 minutes. Nobody really gave a shit about any of this. It was just there for entertaining the crowd. The one thing that happened on the pre-show that was slightly interesting is we got Mariah May's next challenger for the AEW Women's Championship. Tony Schiavone interviewed Sky Blue, who came out on crutches. Always great to see Sky Blue. She asked Chicago if they thought they could have an all-out without her, because she is from Chicago. She said the arena is sentimental to her because it's where she got to enter the casino battle royale years ago. Tony asked about the timetable for her return. She took a deep breath and said she's doing everything that she can to get back, but it's been a very long waiting game. Mariah May's music hit, and she interrupted. She's wearing the Women's Championship. She said she came out here to have a Women's Championship celebration, but then she said, I'm not going to do it in Chicago. You know, she's really teasing us with this celebration that I feel will never come. She asked, why do they call this the Windy City when no one here has ever been blown? It's quite the statement to make, Miss Mariah. Sky Blue said, baby, well, you'd certainly know a thing or two about that. So now we're taking digs at who blows best, huh? That's great. Keep it classy, AEW. Keep it classy. Mariah May took digs at Chicago and says they have a lot in common with Sky Blue. You're both broke, filthy, and you have to lower your standards to make it enjoyable. Sky said, thanks, skank. So actually, before that happens, Mariah May attacked Sky. Sky clutched her ankle, and then out comes Queen Aminata to make the save as Mariah was about to hit Sky with her own crutch. This was awful. This was bad. I don't know why we're talking about blowjobs in Chicago. I don't know why we have rebuttals about who gives better blowjobs. I don't know why we're having people called skanks. I mean, we just got through with one of the greatest women's storylines in the history of AEW. Probably the greatest women's storyline in the history of AEW. And Mariah May, who defended the championship already against Nyla Rose because, I mean, gee willikers there, Tony Khan, the traditional Nyla Rose gatekeeper open challenge. That's fucking fantastic. What the fuck has Nyla Rose done to get a championship opportunity? Nothing. No, but there she is. Every time there's a new, guarantee, every time there's a new champion crowned in that division, Nyla Rose is there to welcome them with open arms. Welcome. I am the loser of the division. How may I assist you this evening? And then we get this. We go from quality storytelling to telling everybody in Chicago that they've never been blown. Thanks for coming, skank. Really? I don't know why. I don't know why. It's off to a bad start already. And who the fuck is Queen Aminata to a point where I need to give my emotional investment to this feud? Who gives a shit? Who is she? Why should I care? And why is she going to get a championship match when she's out there basically doing jack all to help Sky Blue? Hey, man, that deserves a championship match. Give me a fucking break. Already off to a piss-poor start, as far as I'm concerned. The main show finally started. MJF, one-on-one with Danny Garcia. We got a great video package. Set the stage for the match, including MJF's brutal beatdown of Garcia leading him to being stretchered out and loaded into an ambulance on his way to the medical facility. MJF made his entrance. He's out there, typical MJF entrance. He's wearing his signature robe. He gets into the ring. He's doing his shit. Danny Garcia attacks from behind. Ref separated them. Garcia charged at MJF. MJF ducked and sent Garcia into the middle turnbuckle. Nigel kept selling the neck of Danny Garcia, saying it wasn't 100% as of this match. MJF was on the offensive. So, as the match went on, MJF delivered a vertical suplex to Garcia, and Garcia all of a sudden shifts the suplex to the ropes, and both guys tumble very scary over the top rope to a point where the momentum of both guys going over the top rope was very, very nasty. Looked like MJF hit hard. I thought he was going to fucking injure himself on the spot. Thank God he didn't. Danny Garcia's out there. He took a nasty bump on the outside. So they take this nasty fall. MJF gets back into the ring first. Danny Garcia barely makes it in. At 9.9 he got back into the ring. Garcia starts to make a comeback. MJF, he's also making a comeback. He delivered a nasty powerbomb to Garcia onto his knee. MJF grabbed Garcia's ears and started to bite at his face. So Garcia at this point started bleeding from his forehead. So the first match in, and this match called for it because it's been a heated feud. And I love the fact that some people were like, well, it wasn't all that heated. Yes, it was. AEW, they sold the attack from MJF to Danny Garcia to a point where they kept this kid off television all the build of All In and had him reemerge at All In, helping Will Ospreay regain, I should say, the International Championship, which was then the American Championship, which would then lead to this match here tonight. Then we got that great attack on Wednesday's show, which all led to this. So, yes, there is a call for blood here. This was a very good, heated, little mini feud for both MJF and Danny Garcia. I have no problems with it. It's better that it took place here instead of at Wembley, which a lot of people were predicting it was going to happen. Thank God it didn't. So, he starts bleeding. MJF set up a tombstone piledriver off the second rope. Garcia broke free, yanked at MJF's jaw and at his nose. Garcia was bleeding, and I think there were some extremities that were kind of dripping onto MJF's face, which was nasty, while they were on the top turnbuckle, jockeying for position with his tombstone piledriver. So he landed a diving DDT out of the corner. Garcia eventually crawled over, draped his arm over MJF's chest, but MJF put his boot on the bottom rope to break the pinfall. Garcia pulled himself and began just hyping himself up. He took some of MJF's offense, and he got angry and started kind of hulking himself up. MJF took a huge spit and just aimed it, projectile, right at Danny Garcia. Nasty. Like I said, there was a lot of extremities, liquid extremities that landed on the opposite guy. Boogers and snot, spit, blood. I mean, it was just fucking all over the place. So he spits at Danny Garcia. Garcia just enraged at this point. A barrage of offense. MJF stopped that with a thumb to the eye. The good old Roddy Piper thumb to the eye. They exchanged German suplexes. Garcia landed a lunging clothesline, and both were down. This was near the end of the match. Garcia applied a submission hold, or a couple of submission holds here. MJF countered and applied the salt of the earth, and then a figure four leg lock on Garcia's arm. MJF was ripping at Garcia's arm, and Garcia draped his boot over the bottom rope to force a break. Looked like MJF was going to win via tap out. So they zoomed in on Garcia's face, just blood and snot all over the place. Nasty. Garcia surprised MJF with a jackknife cover. Garcia stood and chopped MJF's chest. He applied a front chancery. MJF's arm dropped. Garcia lifted MJF's arm so the match didn't end. And Nigel even said, "This is a mistake. What are you doing? Win the match." He wanted to end MJF's life. That's what he wanted to do. Garcia then delivered a jumping pile driver on MJF, which looked fucking absolutely brutal. Brutal pile driver. On the top rope, MJF bites his way free. He wanted to do it off the top rope, which thank God we didn't see it, but MJF bit his way free. Shifting the referee's position, MJF gave Garcia a low blow, a jackknife cover, 1, 2, 3, and MJF, after all of that, with a low blow and a jackknife cover, wins over Danny Garcia. Garcia and MJF lay on the mat, just kind of living in the moment, soaking in the moment, and MJF is victorious after a great 24-minute match to open AEW All Out. After the match, MJF offered a handshake. Why Danny Garcia would even trust him after what has transpired already in the last 6 to 8 weeks, I don't get it. Garcia shook his hand and raised MJF's arm. Garcia, he saw what was coming. MJF tried to kick Garcia, but Garcia caught his boot, and MJF got a low blow for his troubles. He shook with intensity and then gave MJF the big pile driver off the top rope, which he wanted to do to win the match, but he didn't do it, so he did it after the match. Garcia spit in MJF's face, big pile driver, and Garcia smiled, shook MJF by his neck, basically like a dummy, like a ventriloquist puppet. He then kissed his forehead and walked through the crowd in a very stern and forceful manner. Ringside Doc came over to check on MJF. Another medic put a neck brace around MJF. And that is the way the match and the first segment of the show came to a close. This was the best Danny Garcia match in his entire AEW career. Let's get that out of the gate right there. Best Danny Garcia match in AEW history. Is Danny Garcia a star after tonight? No. No, he's not. A lot of people on social media, when I praise this match, because, again, just like Bryan Danielson, can't really say anything negative about an MJF match. A bad MJF match doesn't exist. They will never exist. Danny Garcia is a great pro wrestler. Is he a star? No. No, Danny Garcia is not a star. Does he have the potential to be a star? Sure. Everybody's got the potential to be a star. But when I praise something like this, call it the best Danny Garcia match in all 5 years of AEW, it also helps when he's enhanced by one of the best pro wrestlers in the entire fucking sport in MJF. Of course, it's going to be a great match. Everything about this was great. Feud coming in was hot. What leaded up to this was great. The post-match attack, everybody was like, well, why did they do that when it should have been the ending of the match? The ending of the match happened because AEW is hoping that Danny Garcia signs a contract, which right now he hasn't. MJF won because Danny Garcia has not signed or re-upped with AEW. He's had a contract handed to him. I'm sure one is doctored up, but he hasn't signed it yet. I don't know what the holdup is. I don't know if he's contemplating still, if he's taking his sweet time to decide on what he wants to do with his life, which he's obviously afforded the opportunity to do that. Nobody's going to tell him what to do but him. Is it a money issue? Is creative the tie-up? Maybe Danny Garcia realizes, hey, you dropped the ball on me on multiple occasions. I want something in writing, written down. I want something formatted professionally that you are going to take care of me creatively. I want a 6 to 12 month plan from this point out. What are you going to do with me? How are you going to use me? Where am I going? What's the plan for me? Do you got a vision for me? Or am I just the right here, right now type of deal? We don't know what it is. Tony Khan is very hot and cold with creative. He goes through his favorite toys and then gets bored and then moves on to something new and exciting and fresh, or he'll bring in a new free agent, or he'll realize he's employed somebody else. And then maybe he'll start using them a little bit more often, and whoever he was using previously gets put away and gets put in the toy box. That's Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia has been put in the toy box, been taken out, been put in the toy box, been taken out way too many times. You may be a Danny Garcia fan. That's great. He's a great pro wrestler, taking nothing away from him. But I don't really see the hype around him. I don't see the big deal about him. I don't see that Danny Garcia is someone that I'm going to invest all this money in to just keep on the AEW Raw. I don't see it. If Danny Garcia walks, AEW is fine. If Danny Garcia walks, he will be fine. He will land on his feet somewhere. He will land in NXT. But the reason why MJF won is because Danny Garcia hasn't signed the new AEW contract. But the post-match attack happened. And the reason why the post-match attack happened is because they left it again, like the original attack that got all this started, they left it open-ended. The original attack happened because they had a built-in feud if he wanted to come back with MJF, and if he didn't come back, he would have been written off television. Same thing applies here. If he signs, that's why the post-match attack happened. He keeps his momentum. He got one over and lived up to what he promised he was going to do. Deliver a pile driver and break the neck of MJF. And if he leaves, he goes out on his high horse. He lost, but he got the last laugh on MJF. It's not that complicated. What happens to MJF? Apparently, according to Ibu of Wrestling Purist, MJF is leaving for a little bit to go film a movie, which probably at this case is a much-needed rest for Mr. MJF. Between the Ospreay match and this match, I think the guy deserves a little bit of a rest. Who's to say he's not 100% either? In his own words, he told Cultaholic that he wasn't 100%, that he came back early, that he still has nagging issues with his shoulder. But this match was tremendous. It's the best way to open the show. Great match. MJF is a class act, one of the best pro wrestlers on the face of the planet. Danny Garcia, a great pro wrestler. Don't get the hype. That's just me personally. That's not a snide remark negatively towards Danny. I just don't get the hype. I don't see him as a champion. I don't see him as the guy or a guy. Is he somebody that could be built around in the future? Sure, we don't know. But it all ends up being the same thing every single time. What do you have for me creatively? If AEW could book Danny Garcia creatively in a meaningful way, give him proper story with emotion for us to care about him instead of what they've done with him, that will be the change that is needed for Danny Garcia. But using him the same way that you used him in the first 5 years, hot and cold, maybe I'll use him here, maybe I'll use him there. Storyline started with the Jericho Appreciation Society where it looked like he was joining the Blackpool Combat Club and they fucking dropped it when we all knew the right outcome there was him becoming a professional wrestler under the tutelage of Bryan Danielson and not a sports entertainer. They fucking failed. And he was playing catch up ever since then. A match with MJF is not going to make him into a star. A match with MJF is not going to make him, oh my God, let's put the world title on him. He's a good hand at a young age with a promising future that we don't know where he will be in the future. We don't know what type of performer he will be in the future. We don't know what he will look like 5 years from now. But I'm being honest with you from me. Is he a great wrestler? Absolutely. Is he somebody that I'm going to invest in a major contract to? No. This is what I'm offering you, bro. If you want it, here it is. If you want to stay, I'll be happy to have you. Let's talk about a good 12-month plan. But if you don't want it, not going to lose sleep over seeing him go to NXT. Just the reality of the situation. You may think it's a big loss. I don't. You may think AEW's losing something. They're not. Tony Khan will wake up tomorrow, throw his money at somebody else that he doesn't have, and bring them into AEW. You'll forget all about Danny Garcia. It's not that big of a deal. This match was, though. This was a great fucking match. Does he come back? Who knows? Does he stay? I don't care either way. Does he go to NXT? If he does, good luck to him. But the one thing that I look at, and I'm only being honest with you, is if this guy's been presented a contract already and he hasn't signed it, sure, he could be thinking about what his best option is here. Where does he go? But if he's been offered a contract and hasn't signed it yet, to me, that means you're heavily thinking about possibly leaving and joining the other side. If he wanted to stay, if he genuinely 100% wanted to stay, he would have already signed the contract. I don't know what's holding him up. Cash, creative, mixture of both. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But Danny Garcia, MJF, great opening match. Loved it. Show started off. The match started off. The match ended the way that it needed to. Great. Meaning, I thought Danny Garcia was going to win, but clearly I told you I wasn't going to win. Meaning that it was brutal, violent, messy, and it was full of that heat that we needed. So I loved it. Thought it was great. Moving on. Tag team title match. The Young Bucks. Matthew and Nicholas Jackson against Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta to retain the AEW Tag Team Championships. You know, I've been on record saying that this is probably the best presentation of the Young Bucks that we've seen in all 5 years of AEW. And I stand by that. I think the Young Bucks and their EVPs and their EVP status, I think them playing into it was the proper evolution of their characters since CM Punk left. Might as well lean into it, might as well play into it, see where it goes. And it worked. I thought it was great. Those beginning couple of weeks when we first saw them under this new persona, I thought it worked great. I didn't know where it was going after that. Then we start to see that they aligned themselves with Okada, and then they enlisted Jack Perry, and now you see them as they are today. They are the tag team champions. Jack Perry's the TNT champion, and Okada is the Continental champion. But if you're watching me now and you're thinking that this is going anywhere with the Young Bucks, EVPs, attacking Tony Khan and all this other bullshit, the angle, the story is dead. There was no story, and they only did it to salvage whatever credibility they still have left in the eyes of the fan base. It was a publicity stunt. That's all it was. It was a publicity stunt with no thought and no effort put behind it. They thought they could ride the coattails of what mainstream media was talking about as far as Tony Khan being pile drive, the NFL draft, him showing up there wearing the neck brace, and then nothing happened. Tony Khan shows back up on television. He drops Darby Allin off. He's back on television. He hands Darby a flamethrower. We get anarchy in the arena. Yet the story didn't evolve into anything. Yet the Young Bucks and the Elite, I don't really feel them threatening, overtaking AEW. I don't know why anybody would feel like they are a threat to AEW when we all know Tony Khan is booking the show and he's the guy that we see at the scrums every fucking pay-per-view. Answering questions, taking questions. He does the media calls before the show. Answering questions, taking questions. I don't see the EVPs doing that. They really wanted to live up this character and this story and really play it out. They should have been the ones sitting in Gorilla. They should have been the ones booking the show. They should have been the ones at the post-show media scrums taking fucking questions. What's the end goal? What is your mission here? What would you like to accomplish? Or did you just want to win the tag team championships and retire as the greatest tag team of the modern generation? It went nowhere. Now we sit with them as tag team champions, and before All In, they haven't defended the championships 4 months. We got them to defend the titles at All In against FTR and the Acclaimed. And now tonight against the Blackpool Combat Club. It's fantastic. This match was made on the go-home show. This match was made out of thin air. No heat, no meaning, no story, no effort. You could sit there and claim, oh, they have a history from 3 years ago. No, they don't. Nobody gives a fuck what happened 3 years ago. But this is the current state of the tag team division. Dead. Now, with that being said, the match itself was fine. Again, the Young Bucks are a great tag team. I can't sit here and say Claudio has bad matches. Wheeler Yuta is a great wrestler. But the most important thing about this is, why should I care? Why? I don't. The division is a shell of its former self. Bringing in the grizzled young veterans to wrestle fucking Young Bucks is not going to save the division. You need proper story and a reason to care. We'll pick it up halfway here. This was a good match. But at the end of it all, I asked myself, do I care? The answer is no. So, somersault, neckbreaker, backbreaker combo followed up as Yuta stayed isolated. They continued to attack Yuta as Claudio was on the outside. Slingshot leg drop by Nicholas. He spits on Claudio, which only angered Claudio. Yuta dodged a charging Matthew Jackson, ran into his brother, allowing Claudio to make a hot tag. Comes in with uppercuts, double clothesline, turned the Bucks inside out. He went on an uppercut party. And back inside the ring after that. Big crossbody off the top rope. Blind tag from Yuta. Claudio tried to springboard, but had his legs super kicked out. Claudio turned the tide of the match and hung up Matthew as Yuta gorilla pressed Nicholas onto him. Matthew kicked out of a seatbelt pin attempt, but Nick was in with a super kick. Yuta did the low bounce back high kick, which I find to be ridiculous because it doesn't look like a realistic move. He bounces off the bottom rope. He goes to the outside, comes back inside. He's got to get his footing, and then he delivers the move. It's like the guy taking the move sees what he's doing. Why doesn't he move out of the way? I find that move to be a little ridiculous. It's like that Kyle O'Reilly fucking go underneath the rope, bounce back, clothesline. Like, you know what's coming, bro. Move out of the fucking way. It's just a stupid move. He applied a cattle mutilation, but was left open for Nicholas to jump off the top with the senton. Claudio was hit with a hurricanrana off the apron by Nicholas, leaving everybody down. Nicholas pulled the legs out from Yuta, hit a slingshot facebuster before flying back out with a moonsault onto Claudio. Bang for your buck was cut off. Claudio made the tag, hits a springboard spinning uppercut on Matthew. Bucks avoided the giant swing and hit Claudio with the EVP trigger after they pumped up their shoes. Yuta broke the count off the EVP trigger. Bucks pumped up their shoes again. Super kick party, tried another EVP trigger. Claudio blocked both with a double suplex. Yuta with a dive on Nicholas. Claudio hits 20 revolutions of the giant swing on Matthew. They went for the fastball special, but Nicholas flew in with a series of super kicks. Matthew went to the top with Yuta, but Claudio sprung up with an uppercut, hits a big superplex. Another fastball special attempt, but Matthew got the knees up. Cradle pin on Wheeler as Claudio was held off by Nicholas. 1, 2, 3, and the Young Bucks retain the tag team championships. Great. No heat, dead division. The division needs a vision. The division needs a story. The division needs two teams that are battling over the tag team championships that are not just put in a championship match because Tony Khan needs another match for the pay-per-view. Oh, we got to get the Young Bucks on the pay-per-view. Oh, we got to use Claudio here. Can we get some solid story in the division? I can't believe that the tag team division is in the current state that it's in right now, to a point where I can only name 3 or 4 different fucking teams that even matter anymore. Meanwhile, back in the early years of AEW, they had nothing but great tag teams. Tag team matches were main eventing Dynamite. Tag team wrestling was at the forefront, on the front page, front and center of AEW. They were built on tag team wrestling. Story. Don't know why we moved away from that. What are we waiting for? Do the Bucks care about the division at all, is my question. Do they care about putting any other teams over? Do they care about FTR? Do they care about the Acclaim? Do they care about the grizzled young veterans? Do they care about any of these young teams that are trying to make their fucking name in AEW? What are we doing? Or are we waiting for Kenny Omega to get back? Because I hear Kota Ibushi's cleared and ready to return. Are we really waiting with the Young Bucks for Kenny Omega to come back so we could do the Bucks versus the Golden Lovers for the tag team titles? Is that where we're looking at? As far as the Young Bucks mentality, is that what we're looking at? They want to put nobody over but their own. Instead of building the division, molding the division the way that it should be, like it was, now we're waiting for the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi for the tag team titles. How many times have we seen that before? At that point, you're just trying to relive Bucks, Hangman, and Omega. And nothing's going to top that because that's one of the greatest tag team matches in the history of pro wrestling. Is that what we're waiting for? If that's the case, that's fucking lame. Meanwhile, you got a dead division right now. You holding the titles hostage and you doing nothing about it. You're being selfish. So what are we doing to fix the problems now in the tag team division? And while we're at it, maybe we should get rid of the trios titles because they've done nothing but hinder the overall health of the tag team division. There's one thing that needs to change in AEW. It's this mentality that more titles means more opportunity. No, more titles means lesser value to the existing titles. And in this case, you killed the whole fucking division by introducing another set of tag team titles, which you don't even take to be serious to begin with. So not only that, you killed one division, you got two sets of tag team titles that mean fuck all. Yet nobody seems to want to fucking address this problem. Why do we need the Trios Championships? They were a great idea when they knew what the fuck they were doing with their tag teams. Now that they've actively killed the tag team division, and you see the way they handled the Trios titles in the Trios division, what are we doing? Trios can't operate as tag teams? Tag teams can't operate as trios? Either focus on one or focus on one or the other. Tag team wrestling is where it's at. Tag team titles is where it's at. I think Trios titles, they were a great concept. They were a great idea, but clearly management in place doesn't know what the fuck to do and can't handle all these tag teams at the same time. If you eliminate the Trios Championships and you focus on tag team wrestling, then the tag team division will flourish once again. You're trying to mix both worlds, and it's clashing, and it's not working. The Young Bucks are your tag team champions, so if they're not defending the tag team championships, the Trios Championships should by default be the championships that you focus on and bring front and center and revolve stories around them. We haven't even gotten to that point yet. So the Young Bucks hold the titles hostages for 4 months, and then you want to kill the fucking Trios titles on top of that, and all of tag team wrestling in AEW is absolutely fucking deplorable. I don't know. Something needs to change. Something needs to change. Young Bucks holding these championships and waiting for Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi come back, that is not going to aid anything. Kenny Omega should be back and automatically involved with Kazuchika Okada. Never mind fucking tag team titles. Will Ospreay. There's nothing like a Will Ospreay match in all of pro wrestling. He defended the International Championship against Pac. Pac made his aspirations known about the International Championship before All In. He claimed that he was the #1 contender, which he was. because he won a match saying he was. But then they ended up giving the match to MJF. So Ospreay said, you can get your title back, not All In. You can wrestle MJF, but I'm going to be waiting here no matter who wins that match. He got his Wembley moment. He won the Trios Championships with the Blackpool Combat Club. That's fine. But he got his title match at All Out against Will Ospreay. And it was well worth the wait. What these guys did was a match of the year candidate, no doubt about it. Will Ospreay continues to be probably number one in the entire world as far as pro wrestling is concerned. He's the number one pro wrestler on the face of the planet. Pac is absolutely up there as well. He is amongst the elite, no pun intended. Underutilized. Pac is somebody that should have seen his day many, many years ago. He's been injury prone. He's been off TV. He's been back. He's been disappearing from TV. We don't know where he goes, how long he's out. Nobody seems to know. He just shows up when he wants. He goes away when he's hurt, and nobody knows what the fuck happens to him. But he's back. He's here. He seems healthy. He seems fucking in tip-top shape like he usually does. This was incredible. Absolutely incredible. Noble captures. This chat is toxic. So many WWE nut huggers here. Well, I'm sorry, Noble. Maybe that sounds like a fucking you problem, brother. Why do we need to be WWE nut huggers or AEW sickos? Why can't we enjoy just all pro wrestling? If you're not in my chat and you don't enjoy all pro wrestling, you need to get the fuck out and never come back. Tribalism doesn't exist here. Get the fuck out. Thanks for coming. Any more like that? Mods, Hologram, and who else is here? Rage, whoever. Hologram's here, man, in the fucking stations, man. Get out. Fucking toxic tribal. Oh, you want to call it toxic? The chat is toxic. Meanwhile, you're coming in my fucking chat. The way you're speaking is fucking toxic. You fucking half-witted idiot. You're not allowed to be toxic. I'm allowed to be toxic. Why? I could do whatever the fuck I want. Get out. He just got Vinci'd, yes. I would rather not that become a thing because we love Giovanni Vinci, but whatever. Will Ospreay and Pac. This was a match of the year candidate. This was incredible. Fucking unbelievable. And the best thing about this, I've seen some fucking geeks on social media. Oh, I didn't like it. Oh, I thought that it didn't gel well. I thought it was off. Off what? Were you off your medication? Were you fucking blind? This is why I firmly believe I'm watching the show a lot differently than other people are watching the show. I don't get it. What I watched are two professionals who all expected you fucking geeks. They expected you to fucking, oh, I want dives and fucking acrobatics and fucking ballerina acts. And I got to see these guys take to the skies, man. I want to see fucking Daredevil type shit, right? Shame on you, man. Why do we got to sit here and have Ospreay and Pac deliver a match that is going to be fucking typical indie-rific fucking garbage? How about we drive slow and steady in the right lane, go the speed limit, right? It's like me driving the dark horse on the Garden State Parkway going to Atlantic City, Stay in the right lane, man. Do 75. When there's a nice clear opening and you get to about fucking exit 44 and you pass Galloway and you're going to Atlantic City and there's no one on the fucking road, that's when you kind of shift into the left gear, man. Let's put the fucking pedal to the metal, man. Let's do some 90, you know? There's no cops waiting around, right? Zip it in the left lane. Then when you get to the Atlantic City Expressway, then you slow it down, man. You get back into the right lane, you go 65. The fuck do we got to go 100 miles an hour for right at the fucking top of the bell? Why? I don't get it. Fucking social media, man. There's so many fucking people that have access to social, so many stupid people that have access to social media that it makes my brain melt reading these fucking retarded takes. Oh, it didn't gel. Go gel your fucking eyes shut, because clearly you don't know what the fuck you're watching. Will Ospreay and Pac, they started this off slow. It was intended to start off slow. Then we get to the last 5 and 6 minutes, and then you get what you came for. It's like you sit down at the restaurant, man. You're gonna have fucking your main dish come out first? No, you're gonna have a fucking drink. You're gonna have some fucking nice fancy olives and some fucking, some nice fancy bread. Bring out the fucking butter, extra butter, please, right? Some nice buffalo mozzarella with some freshly cut tomatoes. Nice salad. Then maybe have a soup. Then you get your fucking appetizers coming on out, and then you get the main meal. I don't know why people want everything right up front. I don't get it. This generation's fan base is so fucking impatient, man. Seriously. This crowd was anticipating this. They couldn't wait for this shit. So, bell rings. People are already fucking just rowdy in Chicago. Pac tried to snap Hurricane Rana. Ospreay cartwheel to his feet, went outside. Pac was right there with a sky twister press. We go back inside. They repeat the same sequence. Ospreay dropped in with the press. Ricochet was shown backstage watching on the TV backstage. I'll get to Ricochet in a second, TK. Somebody is going to have to clip this and send this to TK. Because I already know what TK's planning, and I hope that he doesn't plan it the way that I expect him to plan it. Both trade slaps on the mat before rising to their feet. Pac took charge. Pac repeatedly slammed Ospreay violently into the barricade, bringing Ospreay back in with a fucking unbelievable avalanche brainbuster. Ospreay immediately clutched at his neck. Pac didn't care. He goes for cover, makes a 2 count. Pac dodged a flying forearm, rolling to the outside, sprung off the barricade. Pip, pip, cheerio. Sasuke special followed up. Back inside, Ospreay hits his handstand corkscrew kick for 2. So after all that, Ospreay wanted cheeky Nando's. Pac kicked out, hit a wild moonsault into a DDT that spiked Ospreay, leading to a Liger bomb for a 2. Pac charged, ran into a Spanish fly that Ospreay delivered and took back control of the match. Pac dodged an Os cutter. Ospreay took him out with a tombstone. Pac avoided hidden blade, but Ospreay managed an Os cutter on the second try for a double down, and we got a fight forever chant. So both get to their feet. Ospreay is staggering. Pac with a big hook kick. Another connected on the apron. Ospreay wanted an Os cutter. Pac folded him up with a absolutely ridiculous German release suplex on the apron on his neck. Pac followed it up with a poison Rana on the apron. Followed that. German suplex with a poison Rana. I don't know what it is with this company. They love dropping Will Ospreay on his head. Will Ospreay loves being dropped on his head for some reason. I don't get it. Now, they are professionals. They know what I'm doing better than I know. But when you see it happen more often than you'd like, somewhere, some way, something's going to go wrong one day. And they're not easy to look at spots, man. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Can we not drop someone on their fucking, especially on the apron? Really? Maybe it's just me. Pac applied the brutalizer back inside, and Ospreay got a toe on the rope to break the hold. So he put himself in position for a black arrow, Pac, but Ospreay got the knees up. Wall walk Enziguri from Ospreay. Bounce back German from Pac. He wanted another Liger bomb, but this time Ospreay snapped through a Hurricanrana pin attempt for a 2 count. Crowd was going crazy. Poison Rana spiked Ospreay again. Pac wanted another brutalizer. Ospreay powered to his feet. Pac tried for a third Poison Rana. Ospreay avoided, hit one of his own, and flew in with a hidden blade for the 2 count. Pac crotched Ospreay. He wanted a corner Oscutter, so he looked for an avalanche Poison Rana. Ospreay landed on his feet. Ospreay charged with another hidden blade, but again, Pac kicked out. Springboard Oscutter connected. Pac countered Stormbreaker into a snap Hurricanrana. Ospreay, though, rolled through into a Styles Clash and another hidden blade. 1, 2, 3. And Will Ospreay wins a fucking classic and retains the International Championship. Loved it. Great stuff. Probably the best match of the entire night, in my honest opinion. This was the top for tonight. Nothing like a Will Ospreay match. Pac got his match with Ospreay. Both killed it. Match of the year candidate. If it's not in the top 10, I'd be shocked. Now we move on to AEW building Ricochet and Will Ospreay. But I love the fact that they gave you a logical reason as to why it's not going to happen right now. Right now doesn't mean Grand Slam or maybe the 5th year anniversary show. I'm looking maybe towards Wrestle Dream. Maybe we look at Full Gear. Backstage, Renee Paquette was with Will Ospreay, who said Pac will go down as one of the best high flyers of all time and said anytime he wants a rematch, he can have it. Ospreay said he hopes Ricochet was watching and says he's sick of him collecting a paycheck and he wants him to start racking up some wins. Ricochet was obviously within earshot. He heard all this because he was watching the match. He marches in and asks Ospreay, why is Ospreay talking shit? Ospreay said for him to go to Tony Khan's office, get some wins under his belt, and then come at me and come for this championship. This has been very well documented that Will Ospreay wanted Ricochet in AEW before he even signed the contract. He was very upfront about WWE wasting the talents of Ricochet and them not appreciating what he brings to the table by hiding him in 3-minute matches on fucking Twitter for WWE speed. The gist of what he was trying to say there. It was a disrespectful way to treat Ricochet. Now he's here. And Will Ospreay said the one thing that I'd love to see a lot of people in the industry say, hey man, you're not going to get a championship match just like that because of who you are and where you came from. You're here now. You got one match under your belt. One singles match, that is, against Kyle Fletcher. Go to Tony Khan, start racking up some fucking wins. I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know where we're going to get this match, but I would wait on it. And that's not what I want to see him only do, TK. Ricochet, he should win, absolutely. But you got these two guys that clearly have a history. Do not, and I repeat, do not simply book with your feelings here. Oh, I have Will Ospreay. Oh, I have Ricochet. Let's give the sickos what they want. No, fuck the sickos. The sickos are going to get what they want regardless, because why the fuck would you expect anything else from Will Ospreay and Ricochet? The sickos are going to get what they want. You know who you need to entertain? The people who want fucking story. And I'm sure these guys come with a lot of baggage and a lot of story from where they came from, how they developed from what they were then to who they are now, the path that Ricochet took and the path that Will Ospreay took. Now they're in the same place together. I don't give a shit what match, where the match takes place. What I look forward to is the story that you're going to tell. The words that you're going to fucking have these guys go out on Dynamite and speak to the audience. How are you going to get me invested in this match outside of it being a great pro wrestler versus a great pro wrestler? Match hasn't happened in X amount of years, since fucking PWG or Rev Pro. Nobody gives a fuck about PWG. Nobody gives a fuck about Rev Pro. This is America. This is Dynamite. It's not Rev Pro Ricochet. This is not Rev Pro Will Ospreay. Nobody gives a shit. How are you going to sell me on who they are now? Why he wants the international title now? Why did Will Ospreay want Ricochet in AEW now? Why did Ricochet join AEW now? When he had a sea of other suitors for him ready and willing to open up their fucking bank accounts. Story is king. If you don't got story, you don't got shit. The Will Ospreay match and the Ospreay match with Ricochet is going to fucking be a 5-star classic no matter how you look at it. How do we get it to a fucking 7-star classic? With the proper story. The match will be enhanced with a better story. Let's try and do that, please. Whoever followed the Will Ospreay Pac match was going to have a very difficult time tonight. I said it. Everybody said it. Everybody felt the same way. Kris Statlander and Willow Nightingale were looking at a very long night because how you follow that, many people can't do that. Many people have tried. Many people have failed. I know if I'm a pro wrestler, I do not want to follow a Will Ospreay match. But the ladies, they said, fuck that noise. We're going to go out there and fucking give you a match that people are going to remember when the night is over. We're not going to become a forgotten entity. Willow Nightingale and Kris Statlander, Chicago Street Fight. This was one of the, if not the best women's matches that you will see in all of pro wrestling this year. I'm including TNA, WWE, and AEW here in North America. Fucking great. The one thing I love is a fucking woman who's in the pro wrestling space, who gets in there and fucking wrestles. They're not afraid to fucking lose a hair extension or a fucking eyebrow or a fucking eyelash. They're not afraid to break a nail. They're going to get in there. They're going to get down and dirty, no frills. They're going to let shit hang out, and they're going to beat the living shit out of each other. There's not many of those women that exist nowadays. You got to go overseas to Japan to go find those types of matches. The Americanization of women's pro wrestling sometimes is very sterile. Very. People get into it and they don't really embrace it all the way. People get into it and they want to use it as a fucking platform for something else, whether it be Hollywood or fucking social media influencer or whatever the case may be. Starting a second business or a third business by using pro wrestling as their platform. Those people fucking blow. Those people suck. They don't give a shit about pro wrestling. They're only here for a short time, and they don't give a shit about us, the fans. They don't give a shit about the company they're working for. They're only here for a fucking paycheck and to enhance themselves. You cannot sit here and tell me that Kris Statlander and Willow Nightingale don't give a shit about pro wrestling. They love what they do. And it's been documented that they are very close outside pro wrestling. So this made the match all that much more special. I got Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa type vibe from this. That's what I got. Two best friends going at it, and there's no better communication, there's no better dance partner to have than your best friend. Or a brother, or a sister. This was great. This was fantastic. I'd even put this over Toni Storm and Mariah May at All In. Now, this didn't have the story that had, but, I mean, just the physicality of it. This was great. This might have come, a couple months too late, honestly. But I'm glad that we got it. I'm glad that we got some resolution to it. They can move on now separately and do their own thing. But this was needed. And this was in the right spot, too, man. This was the right type of match to follow Ospreay and Pac, because if this was a normal match, if this was like Mercedes and Shida, this would have died 1,000 deaths. So AEW did the right thing by putting this match on after Will Ospreay and Pac. Because anything else would have fucking died, and it would have been game over for them. Bell sounds. Stokely Hathaway immediately threw a chair that said New Jack RIP on it. Nightingale ducked a shot that gave Statlander a buckle bomb. That was followed by a corner cannonball. Both fought on the apron where Stat wanted a German suplex out to the floor, but instead cracked Nightingale in the back with a chair before powerbombing her through the Spanish announce table, which didn't break upon immediate impact. It was almost as if it like collapsed in stages and it didn't break flush like it usually should. Something about those AEW tables, man. They gotta gimmick them in a way where it breaks the right way. Stokely and Stat set up a regular wooden table and placed Nightingale on it. Statlander took some time to ascend the top turnbuckle. She took that little lining off the turnbuckle so she could stand on it and get proper footing. She jumps off the top turnbuckle and does a swanton bomb and misses. She lands through the table and hits the floor hard, man. Her tailbone came down on the mat, flush with the floor on the outside while going through the table, man. It looked fucking brutal. I did not want to be Kris Statlander in that moment as she went through the table. That looked like it fucking sucked. So she goes through the table, and Nightingale is now on the offensive. Hits a pounce because she got up, did Stat. She tried to get her footing. She's being held up by the barricade. Nightingale hit a pounce through the barricade, and that looked vicious. She hits a discus lariat on the stage. As they went up the ramp, Nightingale was yelling at Statlander, slapping her in the face, but Statlander hit a snap suplex, and then Hathaway was there, and she's screaming at Hathaway, "Get the stuff!" Hathaway showed up with a trash can full of weapons. This allowed Statlander to have whatever fun she wanted here with Willow. Statlander had a barbed wire baseball bat. Nightingale ducked it, and she nailed Statlander in the fucking face with a light tube. That looked ridiculous. Statlander was busted open by that. Nightingale stalked Hathaway down the tunnel. Both ladies then slug it out. Statlander tackled Nightingale eventually off the stage through multiple tables down below off the side of the entrance ramp. Holy shit, holy shit. Man, Tony kind of loves his ECW, huh? ECW with a bigger budget. So they start brawling back to the ring. They are no-selling everything here. They collided with a double down on the opposite side of the ring. Nightingale grabbed the chain. Statlander had a bag of something, which you all know in these little black sacks, it's usually one of two things. It's either Legos or thumbtacks. This did not call for Legos. So thumbtacks it is. Statlander slapped Nightingale, resulting in Nightingale biting the head and punching away at the face of Stat with the chain. Statlander managed to snap German, grabbed the bag, and dumped out thumbtacks. Statlander wanted a scissor kick on the tacks, but Nightingale moved, and Statlander comes down with a scissor kick split, and she landed in split position on the thumbtacks, which didn't look too bad, but thumbtacks were strewn about up and down Statlander's thigh. So that looked like it sucked. Nightingale followed with a running DVD on the tacks and then hits a corner spot. Statlander fought free. They're both battling up top. Massive Spanish fly by Kris Statlander on Willow off the top rope. She then grabs the chain, hits a spinning discus lariat with it, only for Nightingale to kick out. Stat pulled out a dog collar from underneath the ring, tied both her and Nightingale's wrists up. So this ended up being a fucking dog collar / strap match by the end of it. She took too long, and Nightingale hit a spine buster onto the tacks. Both women collapsed in each other's arms. Statlander then spiked Nightingale with a tombstone before wrapping the chain around Nightingale's face. Shayna's all in her eyes, in her mouth, and Nightingale eventually submitted and tapped out to Kris Statlander, winning what is one of the best women's matches that you will see in North America. Stat, I predicted Willow to win this. For some reason, I thought this was a CMLL Women's Championship match. I don't know what changed. I don't know if Willow lost the title before this. I don't know what happened. I thought this was a championship match, so it was just a regular street fight. I was going with Willow to retain, but now that this wasn't, Stat is the right choice to win this thing because she desperately needed a win. So Stat wins the match. Excellent. Both ladies fucking killed it. Props to them for following and doing the unthinkable because not a lot of people successfully follow a Will Ospreay match. And there's something on my fucking camera flying around. I don't know what it is with the fucking bugs in this fucking room, man. Fuck out of here, motherfucker. It's always something, man. Stat needed to win this. Glad she did. And the fly is dead. Thank you. Great. Excellent match. Love both ladies. Props to them, like I said. Following Will Ospreay, man, is a difficult thing to do, man. They made it look like child's play. It was very easy for them. And this was the right match. Like I said, if this was Mercedes and Shida, this would have died 1,000 deaths out there in front of the Chicago crowd. I am in the beer garden more. Yes. We're outside. Jesse's not here, man, so we don't have any problems with fucking birds and children running around the venue. We don't have any of that. Wednesday, I can't promise you, though. Great match between these two. Loved it. International Championship. Oh, actually, no. That was Pac and Will Ospreay. Continental Championship. All these fucking titles, man. Continental title. Kazuchika Okada. Konosuke Takeshita. Mark Briscoe. And Orange Cassidy. Fatal four-way for the Continental title. This was basically something to get a championship match for Okada on pay-per-view because he didn't defend the championship at All In. Again, this wasn't a bad match, but the way this came about, there's no emotion, there's no feeling, there's no story. I don't care. You know, it was fine for what it was. It was in the spot that it was. All four guys are very good at what they do. There's just no importance to this, man. This did not showcase any importance whatsoever. And it was a predictable outcome. You could sit there and say, oh, I think Konosuke Takeshita should win the Continental Championship. I would tend to agree with you. I think that would be fucking fantastic. But do we all think, genuinely, do we all think that Okada at any point soon is going to lose this championship? The answer is no. Okada's going to carry this thing into the next Continental Classic. There's no reason for him to lose this. He's holding the championship because this is Kenny Omega's feud when he comes back. If he's back by the Continental Classic, great. I'd love to see him back. I'd love to see him in it. I'd love to see him challenge Okada. That would be a great story to tell. Coming back after diverticulitis and getting back to wrestling Okada for the first time here in the United States for the Continental title. Great. But until that happens, zero importance for the Continental title. Zero. Fun match. Just no story and no importance to it, honestly. Tired of having great matches with no story. What would you like me to talk about? See, this is where it makes my job as a content creator difficult. That's a great match. Did they tell a story in the match? Did they tell a story coming into the match? Why should I care? What's the emotional investment that they are telling to me why I should care? And there's nothing. Zero. Zero. Okada's a great wrestler. Takeshita's a great wrestler. Orange Cassidy's a very good wrestler. Mark Briscoe's great. That's the story. That's it right there. Four guys in a great match, man. That's great. Pick it up, middle of the match. Everyone took turns delivering vertical suplexes until finally Cassidy broke the streak with a stun dog millionaire on Takeshita before hitting another suplex. Okada dropkicked Cassidy out to the floor. Mark Briscoe met Okada with redneck kung fu. Takeshita cuts his dive attempt off with one of his own onto Okada and onto Orange Cassidy. Takeshita posed. He took too long. This allowed Briscoe to launch off a chair with a dive. Briscoe is now bleeding from the eye. So I think we got a little blood in the stat match too. She was bleeding. We got blood all over the place tonight. So Briscoe's bleeding from the eye. Him and Cassidy light each other up with the gimmick chops of Orange Cassidy. Back and forth. Ooh, ah, no, oh my God. Jim Cornette's gonna have a fucking field day with that. So it eventually leads to them actually hitting each other because they're part of the conglomeration. And every man for himself here. So they started throwing big bombs. Okada and Takeshita both come in with released German suplexes, and we finally get a face-off between them that led to forearms back and forth between the two. Okada hit his dropkick. He wanted a Rainmaker. Takeshita countered into a Blue Thunder Bomb for 2. I'd love to see a one-on-one match between these two guys. Just saying, with a proper story built in. Just saying. Maybe we get a Continental Classic inclusion from Takeshita. Just saying. Takeshita placed Cassidy in the corner. Hit a massive suplex. Briscoe was there with a froggy bow for 2. Okada up top. He goes for an elbow drop. He does the middle finger pose. Briscoe tried for a J Driller. Opted instead for a lariat. Takeshita charged with a running boot on Okada, and Cassidy hit the orange punch. Takeshita countered Stun Dog Millionaire with a crunchy into an overhead German. Briscoe avoided the power driver knee from Takeshita, and then he hits a brutal J Driller. But Okada pulled him out to the floor, only to eat a Briscoe exploder suplex. Froggy Bow missed on Takeshita. Got the knees up. Hits his power driver knee. Cassidy broke it up. Beach break on Takeshita by Cassidy. Cassidy wanted the orange punch, but Takeshita took him out and hit a big wild lariat. Raging fire cutoff by Okada, who threw Takeshita to the floor. Rainmaker to Briscoe. Cassidy ran in, got a roll-up. Okada held on to the wrist, flattened Cassidy with a Rainmaker. 1, 2, 3, and Okada, he retains the Continental title. Good match. If you're expecting me to really dive into where it goes next, I have no idea, man. Another random open challenge for Okada in the Continental title. Wake me when we get to the Classic. That's when it'll fucking count. Is Okada living up to the money that he's being paid? No. I would say no. You know who else is not living up to the money that she's being paid? Mercedes. Mercedes Moné. She went one-on-one with Hikaru Shida to retain the TBS Championship. This, if I had to pick one match for the entire night here, this was the question of worst match. Mercedes and Shida was probably the worst match of the night. Not to say that it was a bad match, but again, there's no emotion at all. Zero emotion. Has the Mercedes Moné project in AEW failed? Yes. It has. Now, I've seen a lot of people proclaiming that Mercedes is not the same wrestler she was. AEW has exposed her for how bad she really was. I didn't realize that Mercedes was this bad. Let me tell you something, guys. I've been watching Mercedes since the fucking growing pains of NXT. Mercedes is the same wrestler that we saw in WWE. Nothing has changed. Literally nothing has changed. She's actually gotten a little bit better here in AEW. Like, I don't know what you expected from her coming on in here, but what you're getting in AEW is basically what you've been given in WWE. Nothing is drastically different. It's the same gimmick. It's the same character. It's the same in-ring. Is she working with people that are new and fresh and exciting? Yeah, that's the only thing that's different. But as far as the in-ring quality of what Mercedes is bringing to the table, it's basically the same thing that you got in WWE. The only difference here is you got AEW fans who now love Mercedes, who didn't like Mercedes when she was with WWE. And now you got the WWE fucking geeks who can't stand Mercedes because they think she's a turncoat. That's the only difference. This is mindless arguing back and forth. Mindless arguing. Everybody said, oh, the Mercedes project has failed in AEW. Is it Mercedes' fault solely? No. Does she need work on her promos? Sure. She was always a bad promo. That was her worst aspect, promos. But you can't take away that she's a great wrestler. Nothing's changed in that aspect. Nothing's changed as far as Mercedes in ring. It's the creative. What has she been given in AEW that you're going to go out there and say, hey, man, Mercedes is great? You do know if that Mercedes was given proper creative with fucking rich and fulfilling stories and something that actually came off good. None of this dialogue would be, oh, Mercedes sucks. Or Mercedes is a failure. People are feeling this. People are saying this because the creative sucks. That's me putting it nicely. This shit sucks. What has she done? Willow's story was the only thing that made sense because it played off a real-life instance where she got hurt and was out for well over a year. That was the only thing as far as a true, genuine story that they gave us with Mercedes. And I would go on to say that was probably, outside the Stephanie Vaquer match, that was probably her best match so far in AEW, the one with Willow. The Stephanie match was great too, but there was no story there. It was only on the bill because it fit Forbidden Door. And she was holding a New Japan title, the title that she had, and then Willow won because Mercedes got hurt, so she won it back. Because that title was made specifically for her. But outside Willow and Stephanie, what has Mercedes done? She wrestled Sky Blue in a nothing match. She wrestled Shida a couple of weeks ago on Dynamite. This was before All In. Shida wrestled Britt Baker the week before that, and Britt won. And Shida gets a championship match on a random episode of Dynamite. People forgot. She's been projected as a loser. Mercedes goes on to wrestle Britt Baker in a feud that fucking fell flat on its face because the match fucking sucked. After 1 week of great back and forth, Britt gets suspended. The storyline is halted. Mercedes can't sell it on her own because she's not a good promo. Britt didn't want to be there. She put no fucking love, no effort, no care into it. It was just there for the sake of being there because they needed a big match for the show. They go to Wembley, in and out, 12 minutes, goodbye, it's all over. Britt hasn't been on TV since. Mercedes needs an opponent for All Out. In comes Shida, another gatekeeper for the AEW Women's Division. We got Nyla Rose, who gatekeeps the division. Every new champion that we crown in the division, no matter who it is. Serena Deeb can become champion. There's Nyla Rose as her first opponent. Thunder Rosa, Nyla Rose is her first opponent. Mariah May, Nyla Rose is her first opponent. Riho, Nyla Rose is right there. AEW's got two gatekeepers for the women's division, Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida. And Hikaru Shida only got this match because they needed something for Mercedes to do on their show. They were not going to have this show without her. She's one of the highest paid stars in the entire pro wrestling realm. Shida wrestled Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb and Queen Aminata on Collision. How do I know that? I watched it. Shida won that match. She won a number one contendership. She's here for this match. That's how we got here. That's good enough for you sickos. That's good enough for all the AEW fans. Mercedes getting a match with Shida after she lost a bunch of times and got lucky and won a fatal four-way on Collision. Great. Another match that suffered because there was no emotion, there was no story, and it just felt flat. That's not Mercedes' fault. That's creative. Mercedes wrestled very well tonight. Mercedes wrestled like Mercedes. Shida, I'm not too crazy about. I think Shida has kind of fallen off a little bit. But Mercedes wrestles just like I remember Mercedes wrestling. Shida's the one who, to me, has taken a step backwards. She's fine. But Shida's not this, oh my God, this blow away women's performer in the division. It's like, let's crown Shida the new champion. No. Shida's become a good hand in a good division with terrible creative. It's basically what it is. So this match suffered because it just was put together lazily. And nobody's going to remember it following this show. Just more mindless fucking garbage for Mercedes to do, accumulating dates as the TBS champion. Mone attacked during the bell, and crowd was chanting, "Let's go Shida, CEO." There was a lot more heat from the Chicago crowd in this match than there was for Britt and Mercedes at All In. That's all I'll say. Stretch muffler applied. Shida released the hold. Hits a dropkick before draping Mone on the apron. Hits a charging knee lift. Mercedes battled back with a diving double knee. And Mone started mocking Shida by bowing to her. She kept her grounded until Mone hit a wild leaping double knee to the midsection in the corner. Irish whip reversals. Back and forth. Shida won that back and forth and followed with a missile dropkick. Corner punches from Shida, who went for a big shot. Mone countered into a crossface. Shida managed to spin to her feet and take down Mone with a big fist, and they both doubled down. Mone was talking trash. This only pissed Shida off. We got some slaps, some forearms, a big pump knee. Shida went to the top. Mone charged with a lung blower. Sunset flip powerbomb into the corner. Followed up with a charging Meteora in the corner by Mercedes. Mercedes kept toying with Shida before hitting three amigos. And then she goes up top. Mone wanted her big frog splash, but Shida got the knees up and hit a rolling Falcon Arrow. She got a near fall. Mone blocked Katana by Shida. Hits a knee breaker. Violent Dragon Screw. Backstabber. Shida no-sold. Delivered a German suplex and a charging knee for a 2. Despite missing the first one, Shida waffled Mone and hit Katana and then hit a third, but Mone kicked out eventually and bailed to the floor for a tug of war over Shida's kendo stick. Now, I don't know what happened here. This was very, very bizarre. So Shida, she nails Mone with Katana and kind of hit her with third. Mone kicked out at a 1 and rolled out to the floor almost immediately and then went to go grab the kendo. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if that was a shoot or if somebody was angry in that moment. I don't know what happened there. It just felt very weird that Mercedes kicked out of one of her signature moves, Shida's signature moves, and at a 1. I don't know if that was planned that way or if that was done by Mercedes on her own. I don't know. Be curious to find out what happened. She goes right for the kendo stick. Shida brings the kendo stick into the ring and wisely thought otherwise about using it. She tossed it aside, and Mone took advantage of this. Meteora, chop block. This led to a Mone maker for the win. All while Camille was not at ringside and nobody interfered in the match. Mercedes wins clean. Camille came out to celebrate with Mercedes, who enjoyed her win, and they stormed to the back after Mercedes was yelling, "You should be grateful that you were in the ring with me." There's nothing to this, man. You know, I love Mercedes, and you guys, you know, it's been very well documented. I'm a Mercedes guy. I loved Sasha Banks. I was excited for Mercedes in AEW. But if you guys want me to be brutally honest with you, has Kazuchika Okada and Mercedes Mone lived up to the price tag that they are being paid by Tony Khan? Go get your money. I'm never going to tell anybody to not go make your money. Pro wrestling is a life or death situation. That's great. But as far as analytics, figures, growth for AEW, has Mercedes made a lick of a difference for AEW Dynamite? Zero. You can sit there and claim to me that, oh, Mercedes is growing this and the women's division is better with Mercedes in it. Yeah, no shit. It's Sasha Banks. Of course it's going to be better with fucking Sasha Banks in it. But what are we doing to enhance Mercedes Moné in AEW? What have we done? Are we building the division around her with captivating story? This division doesn't feel any better because they are not doing what it needs to do with Mercedes and everybody else around Mercedes. What do you expect Mercedes to do with little to no story by putting her in a match with Hikaru Shida? Oh, it's a great wrestling match. That's great. Fuck your pro wrestling. You're asking these people to do the bare minimum. Go out there and pro wrestle. That's great. You're paid to be a professional wrestler. These people want to see story. I mean, you know, Mercedes is the type of woman that, and I'm quite surprised by this. Mercedes is the type of woman to approach something where she wants to make a lasting impression. She wants to make something matter. This is what I was told. This is what I preached. Mercedes always wanted to be a part of something to make a difference. Is she genuinely making a difference in AEW? No, she's not. She may be the queen bee there, but is she making a difference? How can Mercedes be making a difference when she's got one of the lowest rated segments on Dynamite when you look at the quarter-by-quarter hours and the quarter-by-quarter numbers? Is Okada making a difference? No. Mercedes and Okada and Ospreay and Swerve and all these major contracts, they're only making a difference because Tony Khan does not want anybody to go join WWE. He didn't want Mercedes to go back to WWE. He didn't want Okada to join Triple H. He didn't want Swerve to go leave AEW and join WWE. I don't think he had anything to worry about there. He didn't want Will Ospreay to even think about World Wrestling Entertainment. So he overpays. But are they making any sort of a difference in the numbers? Are they making any sort of difference in the attendance? You look at the attendance every week for Dynamite, 2,000, 2,500. I mean, you look at Grand Slam here in New York City, 2 weeks away. They did 21,000 people 3 years ago, and they're not even set up for 6,000. This show tonight, from firsthand people reaching out to me, AEW was giving 2-for-1 tickets. They were giving tickets away for this show. Because days ago, they weren't even at 6,500 tickets. They still weren't at a sellout. And if they were, they gave those tickets away. 11,000 people at the Now Arena. This was an easy day one sellout years ago for AEW. Now they're struggling to sell in their backyard in Schaumburg for a show that's been here the last 5 years. And you got one of the deepest rosters in the history of pro wrestling. Look at the amount of talent that you got on this show, and you still can't draw weekly. The ratings are declining. The demos are down 35% from where they used to be. They're down 50% from last year. How is Mercedes making a difference? Mercedes is only making a difference for Mercedes. Okada's only making a difference for Okada. Swerve is only making a difference for Swerve. If they were really game changers, which I'm guilty of throwing that word around because I fell for the AEW bullshit 3 years ago. If they were really game changers, the game would be changed. They haven't changed shit. The only thing changing is the channel because they went from 900,000 to 800,000. Now the new norm is 660,000. Demos were in the 4s. Then they were in the 3s. Now the new norm is 0.19 in the 18 to 49 demo. Gee, if I'm David Zaslav and I'm Warner, I'm looking at those numbers, man. I'm a little concerned. If I'm Tony Khan and looking at those numbers, I'm a little fucking concerned, bro. Mercedes is in the AEW women's division to make it better. What is AEW doing to make the women's division better for Mercedes? That's my fucking question. What are we doing? Didn't you hire her personal writer or one of her closest confidants to personally work with her to write for her? And the best thing that we got from Mercedes is a fucking throwaway match with Shida, because she won a fatal 4-way against Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb and Queen Aminata. That's what you call story? The shit that you gave us with Britt, that's what you call story? What are we doing here? If you're an AEW fan, I'm disappointed in the Mercedes that we've been given. And it's not all her fault. AEW can sit there and tout, oh, we got the most talented women's division in all of American pro wrestling. But what good is the division with all this talent if you got not a fucking single thing to show for it creatively? Tony Storm and Mariah May, they put all their eggs in that basket. Everything else around that doesn't mean anything whatsoever. And that's the fucking shame. You could sit there and say it's a better division. It's not. A better division in what sense? You added Mercedes. It's great. You can add a big future WWE Hall of Famer to the ranks, like you haven't done that one before. Is Adam Copeland in AEW? Has he made AEW better? What are these people doing for AEW? Are they growing AEW? No. Tony Khan's only growing his excitement because everybody that he watched as a young boy is now working for him. Must be nice. Bryan Danielson. Jack Perry. He is the TNT champion, but he's getting an AEW Championship match here tonight against Bryan Danielson. This is Bryan's first AEW World Championship title defense. And this was, believe it or not, a very, very good match. Very good match. This was advertised as the main event of the show because the lights out steel cage match was not sanctioned by AEW. I know a lot of people didn't like this. I know a lot of people did not like Jack Perry getting a championship match. I did not mind it. I did not mind it. Now, you could say the same thing about Shida and Mercedes. 2 weeks, what else did they have better to do than Shida and Mercedes? I'll give you that. But my overall opinion on the women's division still stands. Same thing with this. Bryan just won the championship 2 weeks ago at All In. Did you expect some captivating story for Bryan Danielson right out of the gate? I was surprised that Bryan even defended the fucking title here. Did he need to defend the title here? No. Is Jack Perry worthy of a championship match? It depends on what you think is worthy enough to get a championship match. It depends on what you truly think and how you see it. AEW only booked this match for one reason and one reason only. They got their fucking rocks off because Jack Perry is in the same position that CM Punk was in last year. And it's in Chicago. And we all know what happened at Brawl Out with the Elite 2 years ago. We all know what happened. We all know exactly where this show took place and what happened with CM Punk. We all get it. We all understand it. Jack Perry got this championship match because it's in CM Punk's backyard. It's in Chicago. It's at All Out. And they felt, hey, Jack Perry walking into enemy territory here against the guy that he drove out of the company. Hey, man, let's book that match, man. I think everybody will really get excited about that one, man. The heat in Chicago will be real. That's it. Jack Perry also, if you guys want to go a little bit deeper, Jack Perry did end up pinning Bryan Danielson in the Anarchy in the Arena match. Now, at that point, Bryan wasn't the world champion, but he ended up pinning Bryan to win the Anarchy in the Arena match for the Elite. So he had that kind of hanging over himself, like, hey, man, I pinned you in the Anarchy in the Arena match, and now, you know, coincidentally, you're the AEW champion. I think I deserve a championship match. Now, I read that AEW management booked this match and that this had nothing to do with Bryan's decision, which is why I said what I said. They only booked this match because it's in Chicago, and they thought they'd get a nice laugh with Jack Perry getting a championship match in the eyes of Chicago's #1 fucking favorite son, being that he lives in Chicago. That's it. Now, with all that said, Bryan Danielson doesn't have bad matches. This match was more about Bryan Danielson successfully defending the championship than getting Jack Perry a championship match. This match was about Bryan getting a championship match, successfully defending his championship, and hoping that it helped elevate Jack Perry. Did it? Not going to really be rushing to watch the next Jack Perry match. Again, it all comes down to story. But was this the best Jack Perry match maybe in his entire AEW run? Yeah. Because he's in there with Bryan Danielson. This was the best Jack Perry match that he's had, period. Now, does that mean, oh, man, it's going to be one for the ages? No. No, it was a great match with a very predictable finish and a shocking ending. But I can't sit there and tell you it was a bad match. You could sit there and say you don't like Jack Perry. You could sit there and tell me you love Jack Perry, that you're happy he drove CM Punk out of the company, that you're happy that Punk got fired. But I can't sit here and tell you that I'm over the moon about fucking Jack Perry wrestling. Don't really care. Don't care about the Elite. I'm a Jack Perry guy. But again, it all comes down to what they have him doing. Nothing he does feels important. And I'm glad that he leaned into the gimmick. I'm glad he's leaning into the scapegoat. This is the best presentation that Jack Perry has had. It's a natural evolution coming out of Jungle Boy. Great. But him getting a championship match, this was done for the night and the night only. I don't see Jack Perry getting other championship matches down the line. Video package of Perry putting gasoline in his scapegoat bus, driving the streets of Chicago before he pulled up to the arena. The Young Bucks were waiting for Jack Perry with his TNT title and a scapegoat mask, and a SWAT team escorted Perry to the stage. Because it's Chicago, it needs a SWAT team because of all the CM Punk fanatics that are going to lunge at Jack Perry and try to get at his throat. Great. Nobody cared. Match was great. We'll pick it up in the middle of the match. Yes kicks. Perry ducked a big yes kick, the home run yes kick. Jackknife cover. Danielson bridges out into a label lock. After releasing the hold, Danielson hit 10 corner punches, backflipped out of the corner. Perry hit a drop toe hold into a snare trap, transitioned into cattle mutilation. Danielson powered out. Perry folded him up with a snap German and another one that brought things outside to the apron. They trade kicks and chops. Danielson connected on a brutal butterfly suplex out to the floor, which was brutal. Back inside, Danielson punted the left arm out before kicking it repeatedly. Danielson went for the home run kick. Perry sank in a snare trap again, and Danielson got to the ropes. We got Cry Me a River chants from the Chicago crowd. Some of them were very pro Jack Perry. I'm sure Jesse was one of them. Perry hit a comeback lariat. Danielson got an inside cradle for a 2. Big high kick. Danielson went for another corner charge. Perry pulled referee Bryce Remsburg into the way, and he got bumped. Danielson said it's time for Perry to get his fucking head kicked in, and the Young Bucks sprinted out and made their presence known. They had a TK driver. They went for the EVP trigger. Claudio and Willow Yuta chased them off through the crowd. Perry tried to wake Bryce up, hits a charging knee. Danielson kicked out. Perry then stomped down on Danielson before flipping the crowd off, and this delay allowed Danielson to turn him inside out with the Busaiko knee. Both men get back to their feet. They're trading big shots. Danielson's up. He lit Perry up with a big elbow. Perry no-sold the German. He was turned inside out with the Busaiko knee again. Another near fall. Danielson stomped down repeatedly, and he signaled for the end. Perry was on his knees at the end of the match. He holds out his arms like he's fucking Raven, and he embraced the final Busaiko knee, which basically turned him inside out. 1, 2, 3. Bryan Danielson wins in a very good World Championship match. Successfully retains the AEW Championship in his first defense. Now he looks towards Darby Allin at AEW Grand Slam in just 2 weeks. Post-match, Luchasaurus, Killswitch, appeared from behind Danielson and laid him out. He starts staring at Jack Perry because they have a history. They are the Jurassic Express of old. So clearly he sees Jack Perry, his former partner, laying there. So Christian Cage's music hit. He comes out with the Casino Gauntlet contract in his hand with Nick Wayne and Mother Wayne. Jon Moxley then appears out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden Claudio shows up. And Wheeler Yuta's out there. And Pac is out there. They all stop Christian Cage and the Patriarchy from coming on in and cashing in that guaranteed AEW title match contract that he has. So the Blackpool Combat Club sends the Patriarchy walking back to the locker room. Jon Moxley and the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club get in the ring. Moxley hugs Bryan, kisses him on the forehead. I kind of sensed an attack. You just kind of know and feel when it's coming. All of a sudden, Claudio is there, raises his hand, Bryan's hand, and then delivers a swift European uppercut that lands Bryan on his ass. Wheeler Yuta tries to get involved, and Pac is holding him back. Fucking thing is still flying around. I thought I killed it. Wheeler Yuta is being held back by Pac. And Bryan is on the floor now with Moxley. Moxley pulls out a plastic bag and starts to suffocate Bryan Danielson right there in the ring. Marina Shafir is out there, and she's shoving people down. She tossed Bryce Remsburg out. There's a crowd chant of, "This is murder," with Bryan being choked out and suffocated by a plastic bag and Jon Moxley. So they leave. The damage is done. Bryan is on the floor, convulsing. Doctors and EMTs come out. They give him oxygen immediately. Crowd is silent because this was basically fucking morbid. Moxley suffocating the AEW World Champion. And they walk through the crowd like nothing ever happened. That's the way the segment came to a close. Now, they held Yuta back. Yuta is Yuta. Yuta is the young boy of the Blackpool Combat Club. He's the one being trained and taught. But if you look at everybody else in that ring, Yuta is reaching out to Danielson. He couldn't help him. They had him watch morbidly as Moxley choked this guy out, suffocating him with a plastic bag. But you look at everybody else in that ring that attacked Bryan Danielson. Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, and Marina Shafir. Minus Yuta and minus Bryan. Bryan is an ex-WWE guy, but Yuta's not. That leaves the Blackpool Combat Club, or whatever they're going to be called nowadays, 4 ex-WWE talents. It may be something. It may not be something. But the fact that they're all ex-WWE talents, and Wheeler Yuta is now goodbye. And Bryan was choked out. And he's the AEW World Champion. Jon Moxley's cryptic message 2 weeks ago, this is not your company anymore. What does that mean? Did we see that box open up just a little bit more to reveal what's inside? Is Shane McMahon a part of this attack, this movement that's happening in AEW? The fact that they're all ex-WWE guys, does that have anything to do with Shane McMahon coming on in? Shane McMahon is absolutely coming into AEW. That is my prediction. I don't know for sure, but that is my prediction. Is Vince McMahon's got the documentary coming out, and I said this on TNT with Solid Monster. That's coming out, and the McMahon name, for good or worse, is going to be in the name, in the headlines and in the names of articles and on everybody's fucking thoughts because of the Netflix documentary coming out. Then you get Shane McMahon debuting with AEW. Might be a nice tie-in there, while the McMahon name is hot in the newsfeed. But Shane McMahon coming on in, is he going to be a difference maker for AEW? I don't know. It depends on what they have him coming in doing. Is he going to be the change that AEW needs? No. But they fucking need something. Everything that Tony Khan's done has not worked. In fact, everything that Tony Khan's done has had an adverse effect on AEW. Ratings are down, demos are down, attendance is down, interest is down, social media numbers are down. Everything's down. No, but they got a big TV deal coming up. It's great. I project they'll get anywhere between 500 and 600 million for 5 years. It's coming. There's going to be a meltdown on social media when this major deal is announced. Good for them. I love my channel when I get to include AEW content. Great. But is that going to make the company better? Better the way that I want to see it? No. I don't give a shit how much money they make. I don't give a shit how much they're getting paid by Warner. I don't give a shit how much Tony Khan's paying people. I just want a better TV product. I don't give a shit what anybody's making. Go make your fucking money. But everything that Tony has done up until this point has not worked. So Shane McMahon coming on in is something that is desperately needed as far as how we perceive AEW. The sicko mentality is not working. TV deal's not going to change that. Stadium shows are not going to change that. Moving all in to Texas is not going to change that. We need some substantial change that's going to fill arenas around the world to like it did when AEW first hit the fucking scene. I don't want to see empty arenas where the fucking lights are basically what it looks like when I'm in my bedroom sleeping. I don't want to see fucking empty arenas anymore, bro. It's embarrassing. They're the brunt of jokes all over social media, and rightfully so. Is Shane McMahon going to come on in and change that? I hope so. Because if Shane's coming in, there's a fucking story as to why he's there. Is the story going to be captivating enough for us to care? They need their bloodline story. And I'm using that as an example because the bloodline story right now is the biggest story in all of pro wrestling. Whether you like WWE or not, facts. They need the bloodline story for their own. What is it? We need that Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens coming together tale in AEW to battle the bloodline. What is it? We need someone to finish their story in AEW against the bloodline. What is it? Who is it? If you don't have weekly episodic television that tells you stories week after week after week after week to generate interest, to give you guys a reason to come back and watch outside of sicko matches, you got nothing. Is what they did tonight opening that box furthermore for Shane McMahon to come on in? I think so. Whether that correlation means anything or not, I think so. $27 riders apparently they have. 27 riders. That's half of what WWE employs. Why aren't we in a position where we have great weekly episodic television that flows one week after the other? Why do we have a Saturday night show that is basically a gambit of wrestling matches that resembles fucking Rampage and AEW Dark? I don't know. We need that one major storyline that's going to generate week to week to week to week to week interest. Booking Kyle Fletcher versus Kazuchika Okada is not going to work. Booking Tomohiro Ishii versus Adam Page is not going to work. Nobody gives a shit and nobody cares. We'll see what happens. I hope it is the case. Because what they've done up until this point clearly has not worked. It worked then because you were the alternative. Now you're not. I say it all the time. How could you battle the alternative when the alternative is now running the alternative? I don't get it. The alternative was right underneath Vince McMahon's nose. He was working within the company. He married Vince's daughter. It was easy for Tony Khan to book a show against Vince McMahon because Vince McMahon's a senile old fucking hag. And now, he's not there anymore because he's a fucking rapist. And he's a fucking sexual deviant. It was easy for Tony to book against someone like that. How is he going to book against someone like Triple H when Triple H was the alternative before Tony Khan even got into business with the Young Bucks? Shane McMahon, he might not be your first choice. He might not be the only choice. But outside of everything that we've been given, I'm certainly ready and willing to give him a fucking shot to change whatever right now is going on within AEW. And if a storyline that is vast and big is what he's going to bring to the table, sign me up. Adam Page. He went one-on-one with Swerve Strickland in a lights-out steel cage match. This was an unsanctioned match. Whatever happened in this match, AEW was not responsible for, per storyline. Adam Page burned down the childhood home of Swerve Strickland on Dynamite in the go-home segment of the show, which was probably one of the best segments in the history of Dynamite, one of the best segments in the history of AEW, and probably the greatest go-home segment that they've ever done. Seen people complaining, oh, the numbers on the houses didn't match. Oh, was it a real fire? Did he sit in front of a green screen? I've seen all the complaints, and I've seen a lot of people expose themselves for being absolutely fucking brain dead stupid. It is so unbelievable how people can't just enjoy themselves when they're getting great segments like that on television. They got to pick it apart and find something bad with it. It's not the time to complain. That's not the time to sit there with a fucking microscope and dissect. Oh my God, that doesn't look like the same wall in the building that he was in. Oh, the color of the ceilings were different. People just complain for the sake of complaining, man. That's not the time to complain. There's a time and a place to complain. That was not the time and place to complain. It's a great segment. Excellent segment. Aged like fine wine when I said, gee, I wonder if Page is going to burn the fucking house down. Boom. He did. I didn't think they were going to go there. Now, I've been preaching on social media, and Jesse and I discussed this. Adam Page, before this match took place, Adam Page needs to win this match. People asking me why. I would rather see Swerve win and Page not get a win ever over Swerve. No. Swerve is a made man. They gave Swerve the world championship. He was built up as one of the cornerstones of the company. He got a big money contract. He made himself into a fucking big name there. He is fine. You know who needs something? Page. You know who's got one of the best fucking runs going on in all of pro wrestling right now with one of the best characters and story developments in all of pro wrestling right now? Adam Page. Adam Page is Drew McIntyre for AEW. Whatever Drew McIntyre is doing with CM Punk over in WWE, Adam Page is doing that right back and probably better in AEW. Adam Page For all the criticisms that he got through the CM Punk fiasco, Adam Page is the best thing in all of AEW at this very moment. Adam Page may be the best thing in all of pro wrestling, period, right now. And if you don't agree with me, I genuinely give zero shits what you think. Adam Page is a fucking absolute monster. And he needs to be respected, and he needs to be handed as many flowers as the fucking man could hold. He is doing the best work out of anyone in the business right now. The music, the entrance, the ambiance. And I hate this fucking word, and I'm going to use it in this case because I don't know a better word right now at fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. Aura. He just emits it. Said it on social media the last 7 days. Adam Page needs to win this match. He needs to be victorious in this steel cage match. People ask me why. Why? My question to you for a stupid question of why is, where does Page go if he loses? Did anybody think of that? If Swerve wins, he goes back to the World Championship. He'll wrestle his way back to Bryan Danielson. I mean, yeah, how fucking boring that is. Adam Page, if he lost, where does he go? Does he go wrestle Tomohiro Ishii on fucking Rampage? Does he go wrestle Beast Mortos? Maybe he can hang out with Hologram on fucking Saturday nights, man, and fucking do flippy dives and fucking bullshit on Saturday night in front of 250,000 viewers. Is that what you want? Adam Page needs to win this. He needed to win this match, which he did. He needed to finally get his win over Swerve, which he did. He needed to stand tall and look like the monster that he is, which he did. And now that he accomplished all that tonight, Adam Page, and I hope someone there is listening to me, because I haven't been more certain about anything in a very long time when it comes to AEW. I don't give a fuck who they got planned for Bryan Danielson, whether it's fucking Darby Allin, Jon Moxley, Swerve Strickland. I don't give a shit. Cancel them all. Bryan Danielson needs to lose the championship to Adam Page. And by the time this year is over, Adam Page needs to become the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And Adam Page needs to hold that championship until All In next year at Arlington, Globe Life Field, where Swerve will finally get his championship back. Do you know the story that you are watching develop now? With Adam Page finally conquering what he could not conquer for an entire year, Swerve is now going to be in a rebuilding process. His title was taken away from him. His home was burned down. And his number one arch nemesis fucking Novocained his mouth shut to a point where he could not fucking say anything by the end of this match and got blasted with a fucking steel chair right across the face to a point where the referee had to stop this match. Where Adam Page walked out of the fucking match tonight and he looked back as if he was genuinely concerned. You saw a glimmer of concern on his face. And then he said, fuck that. I'm glad I did what I did tonight. I came and I got the job done. That's the way the show went off the air. Adam Page needs to become the World Heavyweight Champion. That's the story. So if Shane comes in, we got a story about Shane coming in and overthrowing AEW. Building a team of ex-WWE fucking talents around him. Blackpool Combat Club, whatever the fucking case may be. And then you got Swerve in this rebuilding process, looking for redemption. Like the phoenix rising from the ashes. Imagine how big Swerve is going to be when he gets back to All In next year and wins the fucking World Championship. He won the World Championship because AEW didn't have anybody at that point. Joe was doing a great job, but Joe wasn't going to be champion for long. MJF was out injured. Adam Cole was out injured. Not going to put the title on Will Ospreay immediately. Who else did they have? Jay White? Omega's out hurt. Who did they have? Swerve was in the right place at the right time. Now AEW has his arch nemesis basically in final form. Can you imagine what Swerve's going to be like when he wins the World Championship back for a second time? Going back to what I said in the beginning of the show, you know, the sequels always fall short of the originals. In this case, Swerve's sequel, the way he wins the championship in his sequel, will outdo what he did in his first title victory. Because he's working with Paige. That's what needs to be. I'd actually be disappointed if it doesn't happen that way. Paige needs to be the one to retire Bryan. That's who needs to retire Bryan. Not Swerve, not Moxley, not Darby. Paige. In Tacoma, at Wrestle Dream, and he needs to win the World Championship. People complain this match wasn't better than their Texas Death match. This match wasn't better than their Wrestle Dream match. This match wasn't better than whatever. I don't know why we're comparing. Because we're basically flipping through the pages of this book, chapter by chapter by chapter by chapter, and we're now in the 4th chapter. What are we going to look like, and what are we going to read when we get to the 5th chapter? Maybe not compare, but sit there, grab a drink, and fucking enjoy it. Shut your fucking mouth. There's no reason to compare. This is all going to be compiled one day in the history, in the annals of pro wrestling history, and you're going to be looking back at what is AEW's Rock and Triple H feud for their own fucking universe. When you look back at AEW and the lineage of AEW, you're going to be comparing this to Rock and Triple H. You're going to be comparing this to Undertaker and Mankind. This is the first of their kind for AEW. Has anybody had this type of a feud in AEW? This honestly reminds me of Undertaker and Mick Foley, the way that they went at each other, the lengths that they went at each other. I'm not comparing it as like, which is better. Mankind and Undertaker is like one of my favorite feuds ever. Nothing will be at that level. But AEW needs their own Undertaker and Mankind. This is it. This is a great thing. Television is better when they're on it. AEW television is better when both Paige and Swerve are killing each other. It brings you back to a sense of old AEW. There it is. That's the AEW I remember. That's the AEW I love. Both of these guys, they're like, it reminds me, I love Alter Bridge. Alter Bridge is my favorite fucking band ever. Emotional, sentimental. They are, now you're dead. He landed on my iPad, now you're fucking dead. Get the fuck out of here. Alter Bridge is my favorite band. Miles Kennedy and Mark Tremonti is a fucking power duo. It is very difficult to find someone that sings like that and plays at the same time and have a lead guitarist and a fucking main composer like Mark Tremonti. This is that. You have two guys who fucking are in sync with one another, who create magic together. Adam Page and Swerve Strickland are Miles Kennedy and Mark Tremonti of Alter Bridge. It's basically what it is. Or if you want to think of anybody else, James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett. You know, I'm thinking in my style. Symphony X. I love Symphony X. Russell Allen and Michael Romeo. Right? It's ridiculous. These guys are just... when they are together, it is fucking magic. This match got started off a little slow. I will give you that. It started off slow. I think most of the time people were so just morbidly just out of it with what we just saw. It was literally before this, Bryan was being suffocated by a plastic bag. Honestly. People were just fucking, oh my, what the fuck did I just watch? What did I just watch? I think a lot of that kind of bled into the opening match. So, Page, he brought a case of something into the ring with him, as Strickland's jacket and gear had the image of Page burning his home on the back of it. The cage starts lowering, and these two are brawling before the match even begins. Before they even get locked in the cage, they're brawling. Cage is coming down. Swerve is choking out Page, and the cage is coming down like some fucking... It's like you're watching a scene out of Saw. This cage is lowering down, and Excalibur's like, well, these guys better get back in the ring. If this cage falls on Page, he's going to get decapitated. I mean, we've seen arson. We've seen attempted murder already on this show. Can you imagine if we see actual murder? So I actually quite enjoyed that. Nana, he threw everything back in the ring, shoved them back into the ring. Cage lowers down. He basically saved both of these guys. The match officially begins. We get a big slugfest. So both are in the cage, and Strickland hits a rolling flatliner and a house call early. Nana is literally yelling at Strickland to kill Page, hits release German. He went for a staple gun. There's a bucket in the ring that they brought in there. There's a staple gun in the ring. Strickland no-sell staple shots to the chest. He's just standing there, taking staples to the chest. They're physical fucking staples in his skin. Strickland no-sell staple shots to the chest before getting the gun and stapling Page repeatedly in the back. He then takes pictures of his family out and staples them to Page's face. So we've seen this spot before. They've done it in the Texas Death Match. So this is just a callback to what they did in the Texas Death Match. It even means more now because Swerve's house, his childhood home, was burned down by Adam Page. So it means a little bit more now. Strickland slowly continued to attack. He slammed Page into the cage while standing on the ropes. Page swept his leg out, crotching Strickland on the top rope. Page then wrapped barbed wire around his arm and hit a springboard clothesline, and now both guys are bleeding. Page is screaming at the Chicago crowd, "Is this your man? Is this your man?" Page continued to throw Strickland into the cage. He goes back for more barbed wire. He wraps it in the cage this time and drove Strickland's face into it. Page raked Strickland's face into the wire and realized he couldn't do it, the buckshot rather, because the cage was basically prohibiting him from doing it. So that delay allowed Strickland to fight back. He was ultimately thrown into the cage again. And referee Paul Turner here is in the ring, and he stopped Page from using a steel chair. So I wrote in my notes here, I thought it was a lights out match. Why do we have AEW officials stopping the carnage from happening when anything that happens in this match is not to be reviewed or cared about by AEW? I don't get it. Stopping a chair shot for whatever reason. I don't know. This allowed Strickland to hit a house call, and he tried for a buckshot with Turner's back, and he didn't really catch much of it. So we got chair shots, and Strickland was relentless on the chair shot attack, hits a long dart brutally into the corner using the chair, and he goes for the first cover of the match. He gets a 2 count. So we got a cinder block now brought into the match. And we've seen Swerve, use the cinder block before. They used it in the Texas Death Match. He's had it used in his feud with Keith Lee. Cinder block is now brought in. And Strickland somehow managed a vertebreaker on the cinder block, driving Page almost neck first. Thank God his head missed the cinder block. His back went fucking lower back first into the cinder block, and you start to see the gnarly looking mark on Page's back just form in real time. It's like I'm watching one of those paranormal shows, like I'm watching Ghost Adventures, and Zach Bagans says, I feel like I got stabbed in my neck. And then all of a sudden fucking Aaron comes over with the flashlight, and he shows Zach where exactly he got fucking stabbed, and you start to see marks form on his chest because he got slashed by some fucking ghostly apparition. You start to see this shit happening in real time, bro. It's ridiculous. I mean, I was legitimately fearful of Page's fucking entire being at that point. I'm like, what the fuck? That was crazy. So after this spot, Strickland set up a table. Page cut him off in the corner. I don't even know how the fuck he was standing. Does he have a bruised spine, a fucking busted kidney? I mean, any one of these things could have happened. Internal bleeding, punctured something. So, table set up. Page cut him off in the corner. Strickland battled back. And Page is trying to pull himself up because he's hanging upside down. Swerve stomped through the fucking table. He goes right through the table with Page. Unbelievable. Strickland took too long to capitalize here. Page hit a desperation deadeye to basically create some separation. He then pulls out a burnt piece of wood from Strickland's home that he brought into the ring, and he tried to impale Strickland's face with it. So Strickland obviously countered him into an arm breaker, and he took the spike away from Page. Strickland started stabbing Page in the head with the burnt wood, and Page was just taking these shots. Swerve was getting emotional because this was part of his childhood home. Page hit a low blow to escape, hits a power bomb. He takes Swerve and hits a power bomb on the fucking cinder block. Now, Swerve's back hit flush on the cinder block. It looked like Page took the worst of it. But man, oh man, this cinder block spot, man, you're not going to see two more brutal spots anywhere in all pro wrestling this year. That was ridiculous. I did not see any gash or any fucking gnarly mark form on Swerve's back, but Jesus fucking Christ, man. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching here, bro? I mean, every bit of Swerve's contract, man, was earned in this match tonight. Page delivered punches against the cage. Strickland fought back with a powerbomb into the cage, followed by a house call flush to the head against the cage. Another house call. Page kicked out. Strickland went for the top. He gave a look to the top of the cage, and he went to climb it, but Page cut him off with an awesome bomb. Deadeye. Strickland kicked out. Page demanded Strickland to beg for mercy as he decked him in the head repeatedly with a steel chair. Nana pleaded with Strickland to think about himself. Strickland started laughing, holding up two fingers that he's up 2-0 in the series of matches with Swerve and Page, but he collapsed at his feet. Strickland, he gets pulled back up. Page pulls out the gold grill that Strickland has in his mouth. He grabs a syringe, Novocaine, I believe it was, stuck the needle through his mouth, takes a chair shot, broke the fucking chair hard way over his head. There's no fucking hands up. There's no fucking bullshit. Camera cut away from it, but you fucking heard it. And you physically saw what was going on here. Legit Mick Foley, Rock, Royal Rumble chair shot right to the fucking head. And the referee called for the match. Knockout. Via knockout. Page won. Commentary said that they hope Page feels that they're even as he looked down at Strickland from the top of the ramp, teasing coming back to the ring. There was look of genuine concern, which turned into adulation and celebration for Page. A little bit. I thought he was going to regret what he did. But Page was screaming in victory as the show came to a close. I thought what they did was just as brutal as their Texas death match. Was it as brutal? No. No, there were some spots in that Texas death match that I don't think anything in this lifetime could rival. But for the closing chapter here of the Page Swerve feud, this was as good as they could have ever done it. The right outcome, Page won it. He's now gotten that victory over Swerve. Swerve is not going to be on TV for a very long... He should not be anywhere near TV for a while. Page 2. But as soon as Bryan beats Darby, Adam Page should be the next in line for Bryan Danielson going into Wrestle Dream. Page needs to win the World Championship. This does not end because he beats Swerve. The job is done. Now he can focus on getting back what he feels is rightfully his. He took out Swerve. He's got no longer to worry about Swerve. Now he can go after the World Championship. It would have been great for him to take the World Championship off of Swerve and beat Swerve at the same time. But now he had to take out one before he gets to the other. And that's exactly what he's going to do. That's the way it should go. This was a tremendous main event. The right outcome. This was a great show. AEW should be incredibly proud with what they did for All In and All Out. Maybe one year it'll be 2 nights over the weekend. Maybe it'll be All In one night and All Out the other. That's what I think it should be. It kind of goes hand in hand. Instead of doing it one and then fucking 2 weeks later we got another show. But this was one of the best All Outs that AEW has ever produced. This was the best flowing show that they've done all year. This was 8 matches, top to bottom, that belonged on this show. This is exactly what the model of AEW pay-per-view should be. No more than 8 matches, man. The show still lasted fucking 4 hours. We're still here till 3 o'clock in the morning. I still got 2,200 people watching me at fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. Shout out to you guys. But this is exactly what they need to do from this point on. This is a great foundation for them to go out there and build from this point on. They should be very proud of what they did. This was a great show. Thank you guys for all of your support, man. We're going to get into your super chats in just a little bit now. Please follow me on social media at JD from NY206. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. We got 900 likes. I'd love to see 1,000 before we get out of here, man. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications. Social media at JD from NY206. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Go watch and check out all the other videos that you might have missed on the channel. Plenty of it. We'll be back with a brand new week of content on Monday. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. It's NFL Sunday, so I think everybody's going to be off YouTube and watching and hanging out with family and friends and watching the NFL season start tomorrow. So I don't know if I'm going to get any content up, but I will keep you guys posted. And tonight's show is sponsored by Blue Chew. BlueChew.com. Code JD at checkout. All you guys need to do is pay for the $5 shipping and handling. Does Blue Chew work, is what I usually get asked. If you're asking me that question, we want you to know that Blue Chew is putting their money where their mouth is by giving you a month free. Yes, you heard me right. A month free. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but they come in chewable form, and they come at a fraction of the cost. Process is very simple. You sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their online professional medical providers, and once you are approved, you are going to receive your prescription within days, no questions asked. They are made in the USA. They're prepared right to your front door, very discreetly, and the best part is, it's all done online. No questions at the doctor's office, no waiting in line at the pharmacy, no awkward conversations with strangers. It's all done online. And you can take them anytime, day or night. Be ready, plan ahead for whenever that opportunity does arise. Does it work? Do you think you need it? Try it for a month free and see. You're going to love it. And your partner, whomever that may be, is going to love it as well. And like I say, man, I ranted about Giovanni Vinci last night on SmackDown. First impressions are everything, man. You always want to make a great first impression. So why not make a lasting impression out of that first impression with Blue Chew? Special deal for all of our listeners, man. Sign up at BlueChew.com. Code JD at checkout. Just pay the $5 shipping and handling. Code JD to receive your first month free. And I want to thank Blue Chew for once again sponsoring the podcast right here on OTS. Super chats. Get them on in, man. Michelle with a $2 super chat. After tonight, what is Mox's interest in Darby? I don't know. The correlation is Darby's wrestling Bryan at Grand Slam in 2 weeks. I'm sure we'll see something there. Beefy Canadian with a new membership. Thank you, Beefy Canadian. The fuck are you drinking tonight, brother? Phantom 67 with 13 months. Enjoy tonight's entertainment from AEW. It's a fucking great show tonight, bro. Ian Thunder with a new membership. Thank you, Ian. What the fuck are you drinking, Ian? Bearded Beast with a $10 super chat. I didn't watch the show tonight, but excited to hear your review. I have tickets for Raw in Calgary. I'm so excited to watch it live. OTS for life, bro. Thank you, brother. Enjoy Raw. Bret Hart's going to be there. Apparently, Bret Hart is going to get into it with Gunther. Tribal Chief. $2 super chat. Didn't watch, just came to listen to the GOAT, pal. Thank you, Tribal Chief. Scott Woodford with 18 months. I don't want to see attempted murder on AEW. No need for that. Scott, man up, bro. Man up. Best in the world, Matt. $10 super chat. Just left the show listening to the post show on my way home with the rest of the OTS fan. Pac versus Ospreay was match of the night, in my opinion. Matt, I agree. I agree. Followed by the Steel Cage. Followed by... I'd even say Willow and Stat. Honestly. Take your pick. Mr. Rube Dog with a 2. Odyssey Jones, whoop that trick. Yeah. Unfortunately. Ash Sims with a $5 super chat. Hey, JD, really fun show tonight. Never a dull moment. Those 4 hours absolutely flew by. Yes, they did, brother. Phantom, thank you for the $100 super chat earlier, brother. Always appreciate your generosity. Thank you for being such a loyal VIP. Golden Boy with the $5 super chat. They did the bag angle with Funk versus Flair before back in the day. Almost lost TBS. Flair talked about it in an interview. Well, that's why they did it on pay-per-view. I don't think TBS, TNT really mind. We've seen some dastardly shit on television. We've seen pizza cutters and fucking glass light tubes. I think they'll be fine. El Mase with a $10 super chat. Imagine Shane McMahon in an AEW ring. Suddenly Christian Cage comes out and says, "So, Shane, I heard you have a father." Yeah, his father's a rapist and a sexual deviant. No, thank you. Demeter B. Nanny cheated on Pa with Master Splinter with a $7.99. Oh, my goodness. Nanny had 12 beers tonight. She's sick, and I had to mop. Pa tried to get hard with all his might, but he go flop. Smoked a Billy as Kris versus Willie O'Dilly. Demeter, man, I'm sorry, man. Nanny cheated on Pa, man. I'm sorry to hear that, bro. I wish I had some words of encouragement, bro. I don't. But thank you for your generosity always, Demeter Bullion. Johnny Fair with the $2. I was going to say Johnny Flair. Johnny Fair with the $2 super chat. Godfather Part 2. Yeah. One of the rare instances. One of the rare instances, for sure, yeah. Major with a $1.99. Cornette is going to have a field day. That's good for him. I'm not Jim Cornette. I enjoyed the show. Jim can say whatever Jim wants. Whitest Rabbit with a $5 super chat. Tony will make you the main event one week and the pre-show opener in a 16-man tag team match the next. Dude is so inconsistent and hurting everyone. I agree. I agree. Gavin Deeth with a $5 super chat. So is Daniel Garcia AEW's version of Karrion Kross? That's a good way to look at it, yeah. Yeah. Phil with 33 months. Tony Khan lived up to his nickname, Mr. Pay-Per-View. All In was incredible. There aren't enough words to describe the emotional roller coaster he took us on. They did a very good job, Phil. All In build was, the big 4 matches were built very nicely. Minus Mercedes and Britt, which kind of fizzled out. But they did a very good job at the same time to build to the big matches for All Out. So I thought they did a very good job. Now we'll see what happens on Wednesday, man. They need to start building towards Grand Slam. Joey Clemenza with a 20. This is my favorite fucking JD quote so far. You're not allowed to be toxic. I'm allowed to be toxic. Fuck yeah. JD, that's why we fucking love you, man. OTS for life. Thank you, Joey. I could be whatever the fuck I want on here, man. Right? Feifel's been in bed 3 hours ago, man. They came out and did like a 45-minute review, man. They don't have the intestinal fortitude to last till 3:30 in the morning, man, and deliver a fucking well-thought, in-depth, engaging live stream post-show, man. There's nobody that does what we do at the level we do it. Nobody. Wolf Dragon Monster down with a $5 super chat. Just wanted to say I'm absolutely not a fan of Hollow Puke and have to see him instead of Warlow or Starks. It's bullshit and offers nothing. OTS is always number one. Wolf Dragon, thank you for the $5. You know, the thing with Hologram is, I guarantee you Tony Khan was a part of one of those mail-in fucking E-Feds. And Hologram or something like Hologram was his fucking pro wrestling childhood dream. Hologram is absolutely a creation from Tony Khan back during his childhood fandom. No doubt about it. And he found some poor schmuck to relive his childhood under a mask. Major with a $4.99. Mercedes is only there to put Camille over. They are clearly doing the HBK and Diesel storyline. Yes, and it's not nearly as captivating. Jericho, 8131 with a $20 super chat. Speaking of Chris Jericho, man, how great is it to have a pay-per-view and not see the learning tree? The best chance to do an elite takeover AEW was when they had Heel Omega and the Bucks with Don Callis as their manager. Nothing about this current version of the Elite gives me that impression that AEW is in trouble. Zero. Johnny Cloud with 36 months. 36 months in the VIP section accounting. Hope all is well with you, JD. How are all the cats doing? They are doing very well, Johnny. I'm having a little issue because they are not peeing in the litter box. So we had to get some baby kitten a track litter. It's not good cleaning up cat urine, man, when they pee on your hardwood floor. I hate cat urine, man. It's literally the worst. It is literally the fucking worst. But everything else is good, man. 2 of the babies are eating actual food. The other baby is not eating actual food. She still wants to nurse with the mother. I don't know, man. It's all over the fucking place. I don't know what to do. But they're doing good. Thank you. Wrestling Bro 91. Speaking of Saw, are you a fan? Yes, of the first couple of ones, and after that, it just got too repetitive. Savvy Seed with 23 months. JD, any plans to have Grand Slam this year? Not a fucking chance. Not a chance. I don't know. Do you guys want a meet and greet? Do you got New York fans want a meet and greet for Grand Slam? I don't know. What does he even buy Arthur Ashe Stadium that we could do a meet and greet? That means I'd have to drink in the afternoon and get right for the review later. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know. We'll see, man. And C. Bizzle with a $5 super chat. The 2-time return yesterday and you today. What a weekend. C. Bizzle, actually, I was back yesterday. I did Friday Night SmackDown and the post show. But apparently, with the lack of SmackDown enthusiasm lately, you might have missed it. What a weekend. Sipping some vodka and water. Here's a little something for your next drink, JD. Yeah. Yes. Glad to see Doc back. Fuck cancel culture. Dude made fucking over $10,000 yesterday. And he had over 250,000 people watching him. And after his statement, he still had a good 70,000 people watching him, man. Doc is back. And people could be mad all they want, man. Demeter Bullion, CM Funky, Junkie, Punky, Hunky, Runky with a $1 super chat. All right, that's enough, man. That's the key to get the fuck out of here, man. That is the cue to get the fuck out of here. Thank you guys very much for all your support, man. What a stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. To my Twitch family, thank you guys very much. As always, on the Twitch side of things, for joining me here on the AEW All Out post show right here on Off the Scripts. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. I need 70 more likes for 1,000. Make sure you guys go watch all the other content on the channel. Hit that subscribe button down below. And if you don't see me tomorrow, you'll see me back live after Monday Night Raw right here on OTS. Until then, guys, enjoy your NFL Sundays, and I'll see you back Monday on Off the Script.